Welcome to the Gatorade Cup Series, season number 9, front row qualifying for the Daytona 500. 42 drivers here to do a lap time around this 2.5 mile Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. 2 drivers will sit on the front row. One will get to call themselves a Daytona 500 pole sitter. So we have 42 drivers on tap to do a qualifying lap here today. The first one out is going to be the number 96 of Vinta Charles. Last season won the Clash in the number 00 car along with their respective duels. Did not win the Daytona 500. Looking to do that here this season and waiting for them to go out and do their qualifying lap. On deck, we have Max Anderson, last season's champion, Oliver Galloway, along with Anthony Hernandez, Carter Friesen, and the list goes on and on as we get through the 42 drivers that will do battle here in Daytona 500 qualifying for season number 9. The third season we have done this. Last season, Levi Shones sat on the pole, and the season before that, Jeff Bright in the 5 got the pole. So we'll wait for Ed Charles to come out onto the racetrack to be able to do his time and get a lap in. So there goes into Charles leaving pit stall and getting ready to go out and do a qualifying run. So we get around to the start finish and they'll take the green flag for their first lap. They come back around, take the white flag on the qualifying lap. They will do 2 laps here. This is the warm-up lap, and then we have the first lap where they're not really up to full speed, and then the second lap which they will be up to full speed at. So going into driver mode, if I'm into Charles, I'm not so happy about drawing this first position to go out and qualify. You do not know what the standard is going to be. You do not know what you need to qualify at. You set the standard. That could be really good or really bad for Anton Charles. He does not know what time he's going to have to put down to even sit on the pole. He is setting down the time to beat. That's why I do not like this. Normally we try and gauge off of where they are at turn number 3. See, they're about 166 at that white line. We try to see where they are at the start-finish line. We will get a really good gauge of how fast these drivers are going to go here today in single-car qualifying. So come off turn number 14 to Charles on the 96, coming to take the green flag on qualifying lap number 1 here in Daytona Speed Weeks of Season 9. So going off into turn number 1, see holding 180 goes up to 181, trying to get a little faster to turn 1. And as they go through the high banks, Charles down to 180 miles an hour through 1 and 2. Never dropping below that mark, gaining time back off turn 2 and down the backstretch. 184, 185, maybe the wind pushing these drivers down the backstretch. We might see more of that later on, maybe the wind coming into play. Getting that push down the backstretch. 188 as they go off to turn number 3. Anton Charles coming around to put lap number 1 up on the board. They come off turn number 4. The time for Anton Charles on the 96. 48, 5, 1, 1. And we'll see what Charles can do for lap number 2 off to turn number 1, 184 miles an hour. Slowing down a little bit there through the corner. 182. Now Charles comes off turn number 2 down the backstretch. Picking up to 185. 186. Normally going faster on the second lap. We've seen that for Anton Charles here today. 188, 189 off into turn number 3 for the number 96 Toyota Camry. So here is the standard. What are these drivers going to be aiming for in terms of lap speed? Charles going to set that right here today. Down the front stretch. Start finish line for the 96. The lap time for Anton Charles, a 48.070 will be the lap time to beat to be on the Daytona 500 pole here at Daytona. So Charles first lap done in the books. Next up we have Max Anderson for his qualifying lap. Heading on to the racetrack now, we have the number 12 of Max Anderson. What a season it was for him last season in the Gatorade Cup Series, season number 8. He started off on the right foot, winning the Daytona 500, and it set the standard for the rest of the season. At Homestead Miami Speedway, he was involved in a crash on the backstretch, spun around. He was able to keep his car in the race along with other championship contenders, and he was able to hold off Trip McGinnis, Jacob Davidson, Code Luigi. The list goes on. Steven Taylor to win the championship. So he is the champion of the Gatorade Cup Series at the moment. He's going to try and defend that title this season, but first he has a Daytona 500 championship to defend as well. So off to turn number 3 here on the up to speed. 165 at that white line. We'll see how that does and translates to the next few laps. So Max Harrison won the championship last season for Richard Petty Motorsports, has now jumped over to number 12 of Penske Racing with teammates Adam McDowell and Luke Rainey. We'll see how Penske has brought the number 12 car to the track here at Daytona as to start lap number 1 for Max Anderson, Gatorade Cup Series champion. And unlike Anton Charles, not up to 180 miles an hour to turn 1. That's definitely going to hurt him. I feel like already he's behind. He's got to make that ground up, that time up somehow, some way. Coming off turn 2 and down the backstretch. 180 off turn 2. 181 picking it up now down the backstretch. Like we saw Charles, that win possibly playing into effect. 185, 186 off to turn number 3. Try and get the speed back up. As he goes through 3 and 4, Max Anderson coming around to put lap number 1 in the books and to start lap number 2. 184, 185, coming down, sees the white flag for qualifying, 48.950, about 4/10 slower than what Anton Charles put down in qualifying. He needs to make that 4/10 up, but that number 12 does not look fast at all. Max Anderson looks off pace, and this is not how Gatorade Cup Series Season 8 champion Max Anderson wanted to return to the Gatorade Cup Series this season. Down the backstretch, 181, 182, 183, 184, now 185, picking up the speed down the backstretch, but we saw Anton Charles go about 188 off to turn number 3. Anderson barely gets up to 187 as they go to turn number 3. Here comes champion of the Gatorade Cup Series, Max Anderson, off turn 4. What will his qualifying lap be? And we'll see where it shuffles throughout the field as the qualifying runs go on. Checker flag in the air for Max Anderson. Qualifying run puts him at 48.540. Just about what Anton Charles ran on his first lap. So 48.540 for Max Anderson. And we'll see where that will place throughout the field once more drivers have gone out. So Max Anderson, his qualifying run in the books. Now next up we have Oliver Galloway in the 6. Oliver Galloway in the 6 leaving pit row to go do his qualifying run. Oliver out to the racetrack, the second Ford to go out. We saw Max Anderson put down a lap that was 5/10 slower than the Toyota of Anton Charles. We'll see if Oliver Galloway has brought the forward speed here for Roush Fenway Racing here in Season 9 of the Gatorade Cup Series. Galloway coming to Roush Fenway Racing after a season over, I believe it was at the 33 car. And Oliver coming up to speed to try and get up to his warm-up lap. Let's see the speed off to turn number 3 at that white line. We saw it last time with Max Anderson. It was a few miles an hour slower than what Anton Charles was. So we'll see if Oliver Galloway getting up to speed well on the apron. Coming to that white line, and I believe it's just about the same as Max Anderson's speed, maybe a little bit faster. He's about 165 at that white line. We'll see how it translates, though, to his first lap and what the speeds are as he comes off turn number 4. Oliver Galloway coming to take the green flag for his qualifying run here in the Daytona 500 front row qualifying. Start-finish line for Oliver Galloway, 179 across the stripe. He has to get up to 180 going off into turn number 1. There is 180 miles an hour. Can he get more? He's not going to be able to. That's fine. That's about what Anton Charles was doing. Falls down below 180, though. We saw Charles never fell below 180 through the corner. Galloway down to 179. Picking it back up off turn 2, 180. 181. We'll see what gets to up the backstretch. Already up to 185. Trying to get up above 185. 186. Getting up to 187 down the back. Looks like it does for a little bit there. 187 for Oliver Galloway to go through 3 and 4. Trying to put together a solid first lap that could try and challenge for Anton Charles' pole lap. Coming off turn 4. Where will Oliver Galloway's first lap place him in the ranking so far? To have run third. For Oliver Galloway, 48.773 was about 2/10 faster than the 12's first lap, but 2/10 slower than the 96's first lap. 183 to turn 1. As Oliver Galloway on his second lap finishing up. Anthony Hernandez next out along with Carter Friesen, William Bolin along with Griffin Lynn, TJ Hanley, and then have Eli Bright along with the 15 of Riley Sampson. Down the backstretch for Oliver Galloway. 185, 186, trying to get up to 188 like we saw the 96 of Anton Charles. Looks like 187 is all the 6 can muster as he approaches turn 3. Looks like we saw a glimpse of 188 there. Down to 186, 185, 184 as he comes off turn number 4. Oliver Galloway his second lap in qualifying. Where will it place him of the three that have run so far? Checkered flag in qualifying. Oliver Galloway at 48.344. Once again, at 48.344 for Oliver Galloway. Seeds him second of the three that have run so far. So Oliver Galloway right now staying second, right now on the front row, but still tons of drivers left that can knock him out. Next out will be the 48 of Anthony Hernandez. In the Gatorade Cup Series sophomore, Anthony Hernandez has left pit road to start his qualifying run here for the Daytona 500. Once again, as I said, he is a sophomore in the Gatorade Cup Series. His rookie season last season, driving this number 48 that he's driving again this season. He barely missed out on a chase spot last season. He had up until Richmond, where he had some issues in that race and ended up missing the chase by a few points. But he's back trying to one-up that, make the chase, the 12-man chase this season. Get a win or two. He did not win last season. The 48 is looking to do that here this season. And a way to do that would be sitting on the pole in the Daytona 500, set the season off on the right foot. The first Chevy we see has gone out here today in qualifying. That's a good get up to speed lap. 166 of that white line we saw. Only the 96 Vinta Charles did that as well. So far in qualifying, one Toyota, two Fords, and now a Chevy coming out to take the green flag. Anthony Hernandez qualifying, green for him, 180 across the start finish line, trying to get to 181 to turn one. He is up there. Can he get to 182? We did not see Charles do that. And just like Charles, no 182 for the 48, but steadily 181 to turn one. Just about the 96 did. We'll see if it's going to be better or worse than the 96. It's going to be right around Charles' lap. Down the backstretch, the 48 very fast. 180 through the corner. 186, 187, trying to get to 188. He does on his first lap down the backstretch. This could be a flyer for the 48th Anthony Hernandez as he goes through 3 and 4. 188, 187. But keeping it above 185 as he comes off turn number 4. Anthony Hernandez's first lap here in Daytona 500 front row qualifying. What will the time be for the 48? It is a 48.442, about a tenth faster than the number 96's first lap. So he goes off to turn 1 right now. That seats him third. He's faster than the 12 on his first lap. Hernandez through 1 and 2. On the gas well as he comes down the backstretch. 183, 184, 185, now 186. Trying to get up close to 190, 188, trying to get up to 189. He does for a brief moment there, 189, as he enters turn number 3. Coming to the checkered flag on his qualifying run. Hernandez trying to slam himself into the front row onto the pole. Number 48 to the start-finish lines. He enters the tri-oval. The lap for Anthony Hernandez places him at a 48.010, 600ths faster than 96, and Hernandez currently sits on the Daytona 500 pole. Once again, a 48.010 for Anthony Hernandez, 600ths faster than the 96 Vinta Charles, and it bumps the 96 down to second currently. Next up, we have another Chevy, the 43 of Carter Friesen. Carter Friesen currently on his get up to speed lap here in Daytona 500 qualifying. He will be the 5th driver to take time here today, number 43, that famed number 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports. He is a veteran in the Gatorade Cup Series. Most known, though, for his Season 5 crash at Michigan, where he impacted the wall at over 220 miles an hour on the inside. Injured in that crash. He has come back. He has fought back from that. He has been successful. Runner-up to the Gatorade Cup Series Season 7 title. Last season didn't go as planned. He's back now this season with number 43, a different team, trying to get to victory lane. But right now, that Cup speed lap was not great. 165 at that white line we saw. Hernandez and Charles both go 166. So it seems like there need to be 166 if you're going to have a shot here, possibly even faster. So Friesen takes his green flag at 179, 180 to turn 1, but like we saw the 48, he was above 180. So Friesen not in a good spot right now, trying to get the pole or sit on the front row. And currently he's tracking to be right around where, say, the 6 or the 12 was, somewhere around there. So Friesen takes it down the backstretch, 185, 186, trying to get up to 187. He does for a brief moment there, but no 188 like we saw the 48th Anthony Hernandez do. So as they go through 3 and 4, Carter Friesen coming to complete lap 1, get the white flag for qualifying. So here comes Friesen to the tri-oval. Lap 1 for him will be set at a 48.740. just about what the 6 ran. So he's going to try and track around the 6 of Oliver Galloway, try to bump him from 3rd position. Yeah, right now Friesen basically is not looking at a front row locked into your spot qualifying where he's looking to start a row further forward in his duel, or possibly just a spot further forward on the inside, on the outside, whatever Friesen wants. That's not right now what he is fighting for in this qualifying. Doesn't look like it'll be a front row lap for him. 1:88 off to turn number 3 in his second lap. If I had to guess, it could be right around where Galloway ran. We've seen these drivers go about 4 or 5 tenths faster on their second lap. So we'll see for Carter Friesen as he enters the tri-vault at 185 miles an hour. Start-finish line for the 43, and it will be a 48.323, about 200s faster than the number 6 of Oliver Galloway. Once again, a 48.323 for Carter Friesen. Currently seats him 3rd in the running order, but as we said, he's only the 5th of 42 drivers to take time here today. Next up on the racetrack will be the number 3, William Bowen, the Gatorade Cup Series rookie this season. William Bowen leaving pit road for his first ever run in a Gatorade Cup Series car. Gatorade Cup Series rookie here, William Bowen, and stepping into the famed number 3. Like we saw Carter Friesen, the famed 43. Back-to-back, we get some famous numbers here, the 43 and now the 3. William Bowen taking over the reins of this Richard Childress Racing number 3. He was the crew chief to this car last season, looking now to find success as the driver of this number 3, looking to bring this Chevy Camaro to victory lane in the Daytona 500 in his first ever Gatorade Cup Series start. Bowen has a lot of success in the Target Series, won a few races last season, made the chase, was a contender up until Atlanta. As we saw, a previous Chevy, Anthony Hernandez, right now sitting on the pole. Can Bowen do more of the same like that? Good for him, 166 at that white line, just around where he needs to be. So right now he's tracking to be right around the 96 or the 48, who are currently separated by 0.06 of a second. So Bowen comes off turn number 4. Lap number 1 started right here for him, 180. Just up to that, it might be just a little bit slower right now than what the 48. I think Hernandez was 180 further forward, but we'll see how it goes for the 3 to turn 1, 181. That's exactly where he needs to be, tracking where he needs to be in the speed department. But he lost some speed right there, and if he falls below 180, it could be bad for him, but he does stay above 180. Now gaining the speed down the backstretch in the straight line, and possibly some help from the wind as well. 187. Can he get to 188 like the 48, the 96? Oh, a glimpse there. That's what we need. Just above 188 miles an hour for William Bowen as he goes through 3 and 4. Number 3 coming off corner number 4. And lap number 1 for the number 3 as he comes to take the white flag on qualifying. Bowen's first lap, slotting in at 48.573, and I have to think right now he's going to be right around where that 96 ran. I do not think he's going to be faster than that 48 of Anthony Hernandez. I believe Hernandez right now going to be keeping his number 1 spot, but Bowen still fighting for that front row. And he can still get ahead that 96 and try and keep it on the front row. Once again, it's going to be very, very slim that that's going to happen because we have so many cars left to run, but you never know. The track could change throughout qualifying. You just never know what these drivers have brought to their cars. Can't get up to 189 like the 48 did, so Hernandez right now gets to stay ahead. I really don't know if this could be a front row run. This could be a 3rd place run, possibly the low teens, a 48-teen. I just do not see it being a 48-0 something. To the start finish line though, for the 3 William Bowen. First Gatorade Cup Series qualifying run is over, and it's a 48.158. So a 48.158 for William Bowen. Slots him right now in the 3rd position, but still chasing Anthony Hernandez in the 48. Next up, we have another Gatorade Cup Series champion, the number 7 of Griffin Lynn. And here comes Gatorade Cup Series champion Griffin Lynn to do his qualifying run here in Season 9 Daytona 500 front row qualifying. Griffin Lynn won the championship back in season number 6, driving the number 36 car. That was under the Gen 5 cars. We're back in the Gen 6 cars. Lynn, though, when he was with this number 7 team in season number 7, the season after he won his championship, made the chase. Last season was an off season, missed the chase. He did win a race, and Talladega was involved in a crash where he was injured, had to sit out the final few races of the season. His subs, though, did a great job driving his car to the front. Riley Sampson, who subbed at Texas, won the race. And then Roman Fenwick, who subbed at Homestead, ended up finishing inside the top 10. So Lynn, as he crosses that white line just above 165, I do not see this being a great lap for the number 7 and Griffin Lynn. We'll just have to see, though, how these laps go as he comes off turn number 4. Yeah, Griffin Lynn, a Gatorade Cup Series veteran. He has raced many seasons in the Gatorade Cup Series, finally found his break in Season 6 where he won a thriller against Levi Shones and Ko Luigi, 2 more veterans of the Gatorade Cup Series. As he approaches turn 1, he does get above 180, but doesn't stay up there. 179 entering turn 1. This number 7 does not look great. It's looking just like Max Anderson's lap. And Anderson, once again, another champion of the Gatorade Cup Series. These champions not showing their stuff right now in Gatorade Cup Series front row qualifying. But possibly, they're just saving their stuff. You don't have to qualify in the front row to be competitive at Daytona. You can start 42nd and end up winning the race or even leading the race by lap number 5. That's just how Daytona works. But you want to start further forward. You want to start on the inside. In case a crash happens, you do not want to be stuck towards the back of the field. So Lynn coming off turn number 4. Lap number 1 for the 7 looking pretty slow. It's going to be a 48.896, which is, I think, just a little bit faster than the 12 of Max Anderson's first lap, so he might slide him just around that number 12 of Max Anderson. On deck for qualifying, next up is TJ Hanley. Then we have Eli Bright, Riley Sampson, Roman Fenwick, along with Vinta and Levi Shones. Those are the next drivers to come out and qualify. Griffin Lynn is the 7th driver to take time. Ironically, number 7 is the 7th to take time. Hear that car off to turn number 3. So coming off turn number 4, Griffin Lynn, where will this lap slot him in terms of the running order? Currently the 7th car to take time. Will he beat number 12 of Max Anderson? The question will be answered right here. He does. It's a 48.481, slots him right now in the 6th position. So a 48.481 for Griffin Lynn in the 7 team. And they're going to have to hope that they can move further forward in qualifying with his dual race. Next up on the racetrack, another Gatorade Cup Series champion, TJ Hanley in the 23. Here comes the Texan TJ Hanley out to do his qualifying run for the Gatorade Cup Series season number 9, front row qualifying. And we could go on and on about this man's Gatorade Cup Series career. That lengthy, that successful. TJ Hanley has raced in every Gatorade Cup Series race. He is the only man that can say he has done that. Started out with Roush Fenway Racing in number 6. Not much success. They moved into the 16. A slight increase. Then he left Roush Fenway Racing at the end of Season 2, moved on to Swan Racing for Season 3. Basically leveled off where he was in Season number 2. Then Season number 4 came around, showed a ton of improvement, a ton of success, winning his first race at Michigan in the chase, making the chase, being a title contender, not being able to get that title. Then Season 5. His only win came in the All-Star race. He made the chase because of that. Then Season 6 started out on a horrible note. Mediocre runs throughout. Won at Darlington and missed down the chase, running inside the top 5 at Richmond because of a blown engine. So he missed the chase in Season 6, but did grab a victory. Season 7, he grabbed multiple victories. The first time he'd done that in a season in the Gatorade Cup Series season. And then he took that success all the way to the championship with the number 23 team. Then moved to Red Bull Racing after BK Racing closed last season. Red Bull Racing didn't find much success. He won at Dover. Now he is again back at BK Racing in the 23 and putting down a flyer for his first lap. 189, 190. Down the backstretch for TJ Hanley. This is a man you got to watch out for. He is hot. He is competitive. He wants to show that he still has it. 9 seasons it will be of racing in the Gatorade Cup Series. He's looking for a Daytona 500 pole spot to the Tribal start-finish line. Lap 1 for TJ Hanley, a 48.121. Already slots him in 3rd. He has a full lap to try and get another fast lap in. Slowing as he goes through 1 and 2. Trying to keep up with the speed though, 183. Now down the back stretch, can get up to 190. We saw 190 on the last lap down the back stretch. This is looking like a flyer for TJ Hanley. 190. Almost 191 down the back stretch. TJ Hanley right now tracking to be on the pole for the Daytona 500 of the drivers who have run. Hanley, the 23, back with BK Racing. The car he drove to a championship in Season 7 at the start-finish line. A 47.685 and on the provisional pole for the Daytona 500. But with the trends we've seen in the past, that is going to be hard to beat. A 47.685, 4/10 faster than the next closest man. Hanley put down a flyer here in Gatorade Cup Series Season 9 front row qualifying for the Daytona 500. And next up, we have another veteran of the Gatorade Cup Series, Eli Bright, in the 88 next out to do qualifying. Eli Bright wasting no time getting out onto the racetrack to go qualify for Season 9 Daytona 500 in the Gatorade Cup Series. Currently, 2 of the top 3 spots held by Toyotas. Eli's teammate, Anthony Hernandez, currently holds the second spot, the 48, but he was about 4/10 slower than TJ Hanley. So we'll see if the 88 Eli Bright can pick up the pace from his teammate, or if he's going to be right around his teammate, or will he not even be close to his teammate in terms of speed? We're going to find out right here. And currently, Fords are lacking on their pace. Currently, the fastest Ford, if I'm looking at it right, is about 5th place, the 6 of Oliver Galloway. So Fords really have not shown their stuff quite yet. We've only seen 2 go out, though. And for Eli, it's going to be right in the middle, I believe. He's about 165, close to 166 at that white line. I don't think it's going to challenge TJ Hanley, though. Hanley was about 167 at that line. I mean, Eli's got to pull some miracle of his hat if he wants to challenge TJ Hanley for this pole spot. So green flag for Eli Bright on his Daytona 500 qualifying attempt. 180 at the start-finish line. Trying to get to 181. He does right there. So the 88, a good lap to turn number 1. He's right now tracking right around what the 48 Hernandez was. I'd say he's going to slide in right around there. Right around the 48th and 96, I believe right now that's where he's tracking to be at. Never fell below 180 as he comes down the back stretch. Currently, Chevys have some of the fastest cars. The 48, obviously currently second, as we mentioned. William Bullen currently 4th in the 3. 188 through 3. Eli Bright, a veteran of the Gatorade Cup Series since season number 2, where he came in driving the 88 to multiple victories. But then he went on a long winning streak. Season 4, he drove the 24 to a victory, and then had to wait all the way until season number 7 back in the 88 to win another race. A good first lap, a 48.485. Just 4,000 slower than Griffin Lynn's fastest lap in the 7. Eli off to turn number 1. Trying to keep it above 180 miles an hour as he comes off turn number 2. 182 and now down the backstretch. 183, 184, picking up the pace down the backstretch in that straight line speed that we've mentioned. I believe he's going to be right around Anthony Hernandez's teammate. And Eli last season had an off season. Didn't make the chase, didn't win a race. He won 3 races in Season 7. We'll see if he could bring that speed this season that he had back in Season 7 and try and make the chase for the first time in a long time. I believe the last time he made the chase was Season 3. But enough of that. Start-finish line. It's a 48.056. Puts him right now 3rd, just behind his teammate Anthony Hernandez. So the 48.88 right now, pretty similar speeds in qualifying. They currently sit 2nd and 3rd. Just over 400ths apart of each other. And next up on the racetrack, though, we have the 15 of Riley Sampson next to make his qualifying attempt for the Daytona 500 Season 9. Riley Sampson leaving pit road to go out onto the racetrack. He is going to be the 10th driver to put down a lap here in qualifying for the Season 9 Gatorade Cup Series Daytona 500. Riley Sampson was a rookie back in season number 7 driving the JGR number 18 car. Didn't put up much success though. Didn't win a race, and it seemed like every race he was flipping or crashing. Then took a season off last season, season 8. Didn't get a ride. But then once Griffin Lynn was injured, he was the man on call. He went to Texas, filling in his first race back for Griffin Lynn. And took that 7 car to victory lane in a photo finish over at McDowell. Now he is back in a full-time ride this season for number 15. And he's looking to put up a good lap here in qualifying. He was just about what the 88 and the 48 were running down into that white line down the backstretch to turn 3. So we'll see what his speed is at the start-finish line into the tri-oval. 178, 179, trying to pick up to 180 at the start-finish line. Can't quite do that, and I believe you're going to have to be at least 180 at that start-finish line to have a shot with the drivers like the 88 and the 48. Currently, Anthony Hernandez holds the spot on the front row. The second spot on the front row with TJ Hanley with a 47.685, which is once again about 4 tenths faster than the next closest guy, Anthony Hernandez, who is a 48.010. So down the backstretch for Riley Sampson, the 15. What lap is he going to put down? Once again, the 10th driver to take time here in Season 9 qualifying for the Daytona 500. 188 through 3 and 4. So that's a pretty good lap he has going down. But I have to think that right now it's going to be just a little bit slower than 96. It could place him right around the 3 of William Bullen if I had to guess. But this is looking pretty good for Chevy so far. Their slowest guy is Carter Friesen with a 48.323. For Sampson's first lap is a 48.604. I have to believe that that's going to be around a 48.2 or a 48.1, somewhere around there. 184 off to turn number 1 for the number 15 driver in Riley Sampson. You gotta know Chevy's feeling a little bit more confident now. They won the clash with Jeff Bright. They've brought some fast race cars to qualifying. The only exception is that TJ Hanley is 4 tenths faster than the next guy. But I mean, right now though, Chevy is being very consistently fast. Other than Carter Friesen, they have some pretty fast laps currently down. They have the second and third fastest. I believe they have the second, third, and fifth fastest cars currently on the racetrack, and Riley Sampson trying to break in and be just about the 6th fastest guy on the racetrack. So checkered flag in the air for Riley Sampson. His second lap will be a 48.184, only 300ths behind the 3 of William Bullen, and it slots him right now 6th in qualifying for the Daytona 500. Once again, a 48.184 for number 15 and Riley Sampson. So next down the racetrack, we have the 13 of Roman Fenwick, who'll be the next driver to take time here in Daytona 500 qualifying. Roman Fenwick, the 13, out on the racetrack in turns 1 and 2 on his warm-up lap for Gatorade Cup Series Season 9 Daytona 500 front row qualifying. Fenwick, the 11th driver, take time. Another Chevrolet take time. As we've seen on the Chevy so far, they are consistently fast. We'll see if Fenwick can keep up that trend. Currently, most of them kind of right now put a lap around a 48.1, a 48.0, and pretty good get up to speed lap for Fenwick there. So we'll see if he can try and challenge for a top 5 starting spot here so far in Daytona 500 qualifying. This is Fenwick's rookie season in the Gatorade Cup Series. Raced in the Target Series the last season, where he picked up a win at Indianapolis and made the chase. However, his chase run was horrendous. Didn't really do much in that, but Fenwick going for gold and glory here in the Gatorade Cup Series season number 9. Not too fast, turner 1, 180, but we'll see how he can do through 1 and 2. Drops down to 179. Down the backstretch, gaining speed back. But right now for Fenwick, it's looking kind of slow. We'll have to see how we can rebound here on the second lap. 186, and up to 187 off to turn number 3. Barely does. And for, Friesen, for Lynn, they're the slowest Chevys right now. They're pretty far off pace. I mean, Lynn's the second slowest of the 10 that have taken time. Right now, he's currently 9th. We'll see where Fenwick slots in on his first lap. Currently a 48.797. Not looking too great right now for the 13. If I had to guess, that's going to be maybe a 48.3 if he's lucky. Maybe down to the 48.2s. But currently, I just do not see the speed out of that 13, which is a shame because these Chevys have brought some pace. Obviously, as we keep mentioning, Hernandez on the front row, the provisional front row. We have Elap right there in 3rd. We have Bullen there in 5th. Sampson in 6th. But then you have, it drops back to Friesen, who is 2 tenths basically off of the 15, maybe a 10th and a half off the 15. We'll just see for Roman Fenwick. He goes through 3 and 4 to complete his qualifying run. His first time in a Gatorade Cup Series car besides Homestead last season subbing for Griffin Lynn. And the lap time is a 48.380. As we said, he didn't really have it. He's currently slower than Carter Friesen by 600ths. So not a great qualifying lap for Roman Fenwick. However, he always has the duels to try and gain time and gain spots in qualifying. TJ Hanley still holds the top spot at 47.685. Next on the track will be Vinta and the number 95 car, another Chevy, coming out onto the racetrack. Vinta getting up to speed here on pit road to come out and start his qualifying run for the Gatorade Cup Series Daytona 500. This will be his first Gatorade Cup Series career start. He's a rookie in the Gatorade Cup Series, number 95 for Levine Family Racing, and he is the fourth Chevy in a row to come out onto the racetrack. Currently, the fast time held by TJ Hanley, a Toyota, at a 47.685. We'll see if Vince can try and top that, or can Hanley keep it up there. And as we mentioned, these Chevys have been consistently fast. Currently, the Fords are the one lacking in the speed department. They have the slowest lap and the third slowest lap. So we'll see how Vinta does in the number 95 car as he's getting up to speed down this backstretch. It's looking pretty good right now. Oh, yeah, it's looking good. 160. This could be a contender for TJ Hanley. Just watch this. I mean, he looks pretty fast there across that white line. If he can hold this speed, if that wind works all right for him, Vinta could be sitting on the front row. He could be sitting on the pole, the provisional pole for the Daytona 500. If he can get up to Hanley's mark that Hanley has set. It's a high mark. He's about 0.3 faster than the next guy, but 180 across the start finish line for Vinta. 181. Can he get up to 182? Hanley got up to 182. He does right here. This could be a contender right here. Vinta trying to contend with TJ Hanley for the pole spot for the Daytona 500. We mentioned 47.685 is what Hanley currently holds. Down the backstretch at 95, gaining speed. Hanley got up to about 189 on his first lap. 188. Oh, he didn't hit that 189 mark. That might hurt him. I believe Hanley did get to 189 on his first lap. We'll just have to see what this first lap is for Vinta as he comes off turn number 4. Down the front stretch. Tri-oval. Lap 1 and white flag for the 95 on qualifying. It's a 48.386. Can he pick up? He needs 7/10. Can he pick up 7/10 in one lap is the question. 185 to turn 1. I don't see it happening, but I do see a front row currently for that 95. We'll just have to see down the backstretch. 184, 185, 186. Hanley got to 190 down this backstretch. Can Vinta do that? I don't see it. 189. And that's going to be all it gets. Hanley barely got to 190. So I believe TJ is safe to stay on the pole position. But Vinta comes down the front stretch. The checkered flag for qualifying for that number 95. And it's going to be Chevy sitting on the front row. It's not going to be Hernandez any longer. It's going to be Vinta just below the 48-second bracket, a 47.955. And he is currently in the front row on the outside pole for the Daytona 500. He is the 12th driver to take time. So 95 sits on the front row currently, but next out is number 92, Levi Shones, who sat on pole for the Daytona 500 last season. And here comes Levi Shones, the number 92, the third Ford to take time. But if you're Shones, are you a little worried? You're the 13th driver to go out. That's an unlucky number. The two Fords that have gone out before you have been some of the slowest guys on the racetrack. Are you worried if you are Levi Shones in the 92 in a Ford going out 13th? That is the big question. Shones, however, knows how to get to the pole position here at Daytona. He did it last season in the Daytona 500, driving the number 17 for Oskan Racing, a Ford. So can Shones do that once again this season, get back-to-back Daytona 500 poles? We'll see on this get up to speed lap how fast he is at the end of the backstretch. That is all. That's what it's going to come down to. Let's see for Shones, that's looking slow, just like the other Fords that have gone out before him. Not up to 166 by that white line. It's going to kill his speed for the next lap. But enough about talking about his speed right now. We can talk about this career that Levi Shones has had. It has been an amazing one. He's won so many races. He's been so successful. He's just not won a Gatorade Cup Series championship, and that's the one thing that is hurting him. He won a few races back at, season 4, season 3 for the number 13 team. He won before that in number 41. Then he returned back to Stewart-Haas Racing in season 5 with the number 14. Drove that to the chase and a win. And then season number 6, he won, I believe, 4 races that season and finished runner-up in points, tied with runner-up in points. He was 1 point behind Griffin Lane. He entered the final race of the season in the points lead. The closest Levi Shones has been to a Gatorade Cup Series championship was season number 6, and then did not get right for season 7, and season 8 was a whole mess for Shones, but he is on his way. If he can win one more Gatorade Cup Series race, he will be tied with Dan Bandon for the most Gatorade Cup Series career wins ever. Schoens currently has 9, Bandon has 10. He needs one more to tie Dan Bandon, 2 more to surpass Dan Bandon, and be the winningest Gatorade Cup Series driver of all time. Schoens' first lap a 48.659, which is about a second slower than what Hanley ran with his fast lap. So Schoens right now not looking at the front row, I would have to guess. I just have to guess that he's looking at trying to be the fastest Ford that has been on the racetrack. Currently, Oliver Galloway holds that honor with a 48.344, but Galloway has been faster than Griffin Lynn. He has also been faster than, Roman Fenwick. So here comes Schoens to complete his qualifying lap number 92, down the front stretch. Last season's pole sitter currently slots in with a 48.235. So that is currently the fastest Ford we've had out on the racetrack, a 48.235 for Levi Schoens. Not going to be the pole run like he had last season, but it's still pretty consistent, especially with what we have seen out of the Ford so far in this session. Next up on the racetrack will be Sebastian Oskan in the number 47 car. So let's go get to his qualifying lap. Sebastian Oskan on the backstretch of his warm-up lap, a Gatorade Cup Series rookie coming to take the green flag in his first ever time in a Gatorade Cup Series car. As we mentioned, these Chevrolets have been consistently fast so far this session, and currently a good get up to speed lap, 166 at that white line. We'll see if he can contend with Vinta, another Chevrolet, for that front row. Yeah, all but 3 Chevrolets have been pretty darn fast. Carter, Friesen, Griffin Lynn, and Roman Fenwick. If you exclude them, the Chevys have been pretty fast so far this session. However, the Toyotas have probably been the most consistent. However, there have only been 2 Toyotas that have gone out so far, Hanley and Charles. Oskan, lap 1, turn 1, he got up to 182, down to 181, and 182. He's flirting with that 182. It's looking like it's going to be a pretty good lap so far for that 47. 180 all the way through turn number 1 and 2. Now down the backstretch. We'll see what speed he can get up to on this straight line. Oskan driving for JTG Geordie Racing. And 188 down the backstretch. That first lap, a glimpse of 189 I saw there. So it's not going to be too bad of a lap for that number 47 Sebastian Oskan. We'll see what his second lap will hold for him. See what he's going to compare to Vinta. I really want to see that. Can he knock that 95 off the front row is going to be the big question. Tryover for the 47, 186 across the start finish. That's a 48.379. That is very close to what that 95 ran on his first lap. If he can pick up what the 95 picked up, this could be a battle to sit on the front row with TJ Hanley. And as I said before, Hanley's 47.685. That's going to be very tough to top. From what we have seen these past 2 seasons, it just seems like that is going to be some of the fastest that these drivers are going to go. You see Oskan, though, doing pretty good down this backstretch. 189, trying to get up to 190. Can't do that, but he's going to say 189 off to turn number 3. And held it for a pretty good time as he went through 3. Not going to fall below 185. Down the front stretch. Trioval. Sebastian Oskan, second lap. We'll place him second or third. It's going to be second position for Sebastian Oskan at 47.939. Sebastian Oskan 47.939 puts him on the front row and knocks Vinta back to the third position. So Oskan currently on the provisional front row. Next up, though, we have Jay Jefferson, the 78, another Toyota, the third Toyota to come out and make time here in this qualifying session. Jay Jefferson leaving pit road, another Gatorade Cup Series veteran, longtime veteran of the Gatorade Cup Series, ready to take the green flag for his qualifying run for the Season 9 Daytona 500. He is the third Toyota to hit the track. The only other 2 Toyotas, obviously the first driver that went out into Charles and TJ Hanley, who is currently sitting on the pole. And the 2 Toyotas that have gone out, they've been pretty consistent. First and 6th currently on the leaderboard. We'll see if Jay Jefferson can change that, or will he slot in line somewhere behind those 2. He is currently the 15th driver that will take time here today. And Jay Jefferson has been on the Gatorade Cup Series since season number 2, where he won his first race at Kentucky. Season 3 was a disaster driver in the 14. Season 4, more of the same driver in the 48. Then Season 5, he switched to the 1 for Chip Ganassi Racing. And this is not looking like a good get up to speed lap at all. 164 at that white line. This could be one of the slowest laps we've seen so far here today. But in Season 5, switched to the 1, still didn't get that win. And then Season 6 went to the number 78 and it clicked. He broke the winless streak at Michigan, came back the next season, season 7, with the same number 78 team, won 2 races at, I believe it was, Michigan and Pensacola, and then went in last season, won at Richmond to make his way into the chase last season. The first time he's been in the chase ever in the Gatorade Cup Series. He's been around since season number 2. You'd think he would be in the chase, 1, 2, 3 times. The first time he made the chase was last season. He's looking to carry that momentum. I believe he finished somewhere around 7th, so somewhere around the middle in the chase field. He's looking to carry that momentum he brought from last season to this season and go further into the chase than what he did. But right now, this first lap, it's not looking too great for the 78 Jay Jefferson. This could be the slowest lap we've seen so far. Right now, the slowest held by Max Anderson with a 48.540. And his first lap was about a 48.9, somewhere around there. So Jefferson's first lap is a 48.953. Not looking too great for the number 78 and the Gatorade Cup Series veteran. Obviously, they may focus more on the handling. You mentioned during the Clash, if you did not watch the Clash, these cars, they're more slippery aerodynamically than the cars that we used last season. Last season, those cars had a lot more downforce, bigger spoilers. They were made for downforce. This season, these spoilers are very, very small. These cars can be slippery when running around each other because there is very little aerodynamics on the car. So we're just going to have to see how this all plays out. Maybe the 78 team has focused more on the handling aspect, wanting the car to stay straight more. Maybe they've given up some speed because of that, and they're hoping that their car can last in the Daytona 500 and in the duels. For Jay Jefferson, where will this place him? Lap number 2 is a 48.507. So he does beat Max Anderson. He slots in currently second to last, but he's currently not last. So 48.507 for Jay Jefferson. 14th out of 15 drivers that have run. And next up, we have Colton Yeo in the 99 out next. Here comes Colton Yeo for his qualifying effort here in the Season 9 Daytona 500. Colton Yeo has been around the Gatorade Cup Series a few seasons before this. I believe this is his 3rd season competing in the series. His first was, I believe, season number 6, where he drove the number 15. And he's obviously known for that big heartbreak in the Las Vegas race of that season, where he was leading on the last lap, constant lap traffic. The car behind him did not slow down to the 47 of Kyle Perry, spun him down the backstretch from the race lead. Both of them went down to the inside, allowed Tim Ram from the 92 through to win the race. So Yeo never recovered from that, really. He did end up advancing into the All-Star race through the Open that season. Came back the next season with the number 37, a new start. Leading at Chicagoland, was not going to be touched during that race at all. He had about 4 or 5 second lead over TJ Hanley, who was the next closest competitor. He blows an engine with under 5 laps to go and has to surrender the win. And ends up, he has never gotten that Gatorade Cup Series win. Is this season the season? Is season 9 the season for 99? This is the question. 180 at the start finish, and looking like a pretty good first lap for him. Looking to shape that up. So Colton Yeo takes lap number 1, 181 to turn 1. It's looking like it could be a low 48 second run. I don't think it's going to be a competitor for the front row. Excuse me, like Oskan and TJ Hanley. We'll have to see, though, what he does down this backstretch on his first lap. 187. Trying to get up to 188. Glimpse right there of 188 to turn 3. So Colton Yeo, pretty good there for him. Working his way off turn number 4. Keeps it above 185 miles an hour as he works his way into the tri-oval. Lap 1 for the 99. It's going to be a 48.524. Once again, shaping up just to be a low 48 second, slotting in probably somewhere around the 96 and the 3 once he gets this second lap in. Yeah, 96 to 48.070, the 3 a 48.158. I have to guess he's going to be somewhere around there. He's probably not going to challenge the Hendrick Motorsports teammates of Eli Bright and Anthony Hernandez. You never know, though. Down the backstretch, 187 up to 188. Can you get 189? You can't. Oh, we did for an instant there. We just saw that number click to a 9 for a second there. That could help him in the long haul, though. That one instant where it was 189, that could give you a 100th, a 1,000th. Start finish line for Colton Yeo. The lap is going to be a 48.090, which is 200 slower than the 96. So slot in the top half of the drivers that have currently taken time on the racetrack. A 48.090 for Colton Yeo. and he'll have to hope for his duel to try and gain more spots further forward. Next down the racetrack, we have the 19 of Danny Lloyd. Danny Lloyd off of pit road to start his lap in the Daytona 500 qualifying for the Gatorade Cup Series season number 9. And Lloyd is no stranger to this number 19 in this JGR team. His rookie season came in this 19. He won multiple races and ended up making the chase, but fell short in the chase, had a miserable chase that season. Then, when JGR cut down to 3 cars last season, he was the odd man out and had to switch to Michael Waltrip Racing in an alliance with JGR. However, that did not carry over the success he had from his rookie season. He had his sophomore slump. We'll see, though, third season back in the 19 where he had so much success. How can he do here in qualifying is the question. And right now, he is tracking just like Jay Jefferson did. We saw those first 2 Toyotas go out, and we thought they were going to be, the top manufacturer to beat. Anton Sharp is still hanging pretty tough there with that 48070, and Hanley's currently first. Then Jay Jefferson went out and sat second to last and proved me wrong, and now Lloyd looked like to do the same, 178 the start-finish line to take his first lap. Yeah, this could be right around where Jay Jefferson and Max Anderson qualified, which was making me look like a fool, saying that Toyota was going to be pretty fast. I saw those first 2 go out and I thought, man, they're going to have some speed in this car. But currently, Chevrolet is the one that's the most consistent, even though they don't have the fastest time. They have some pretty fast cars up towards there, like the 47, the 95, the 88, the 48. Down the backstretch for Danny Lloyd in the 19. 186 at the end of the backstretch. Yeah, if it's once again a middle 48.9, it's going to be right around that 78 and the 12. If it's a high 48.9, he might be last. So here they come. Danny Lloyd. First lap for him, the number 19, will seed him with a 48.910. I believe that was faster than Jay Jefferson's first lap. So if the trend continues, this could be a low 48.5 or a high 48.9. He works his way through 1 and 2. It is Danny Lloyd, the 19. Down the backstretch. Picking up that speed, 187. Through 3 and 4. Remember, 48.910 was his first lap as he comes off turn number 4. What will his second lap be? The 19, Danny Lloyd, trying to beat Max Anderson out to not be last. The result will be a 48.472, which puts him just ahead of the number 78 of Jay Jefferson. It actually puts him ahead of the 7 of Griffin Lynn as well. So a 48.472, not too great for the 19, but there's always the duels to try and move forward in the starting spot. And now the next up we have Colton Yo's teammate, the number 00 of Alexander Rowe. Leaving pit road, we have 00, 00, double nothing. I don't care what you call it. It's Alexander Rowe either way in that race car. So Alexander Rowe's teammate, Colton Yo, just went out a few cars ago, set down a lap of 48.090, which is about middle of the road of the drivers we've seen, probably top half. We'll see if Rowe can continue his teammate's success as Starcom brought some pretty fast cars here to Daytona. Will they be equal? Will one be faster than the other? We're about to find out on this qualifying lap. Currently, pole spot held by TJ Hanley at 47.685, if you forgot, and it's Oskan with the front row at 47.939. So about 0.3 difference between those two in terms of the front row speed. But Alexander trying to break that up. He's trying to put his number 00 on the front row. At the white line, 165. It's better than the last 2 Toyotas we saw that went out, but I believe Colton Yo might have been just a tick faster at that white line. We'll just have to see what the 00 what Alexander Rowe can do. He has been in the Gatorade Cup Series before. He's won races. He's won a pretty good amount of races, actually. He actually made the chase back in season number 5. Not many people remember that. He was driving the number 7, made the chase. He made the chase with the number 72 team in season number 7 as well. So he's had his fair share of success in the Gatorade Cup Series. He's looking to take it a step higher. He's never really been the most talked about driver on the schedule, on the series. He's always been kind of just there. He'll steal a win once in a while, but he's never been the main focus of the conversation of the event. Can this season be a change? Can season 9 be the season where we say Alexander Rowe is a top competitor week in and week out? 188 as he goes through 3 and 4. Great first lap it's looking like for Alexander Rowe. This could definitely place him up with his teammate Colton Yo. So here he comes, lap number 1 for Alexander Rowe. Into the trial, 186 across the start finish line, 48.395. That is a great first lap. Yeah, that's a first lap that can contend with Oskan, who was sitting on the front row. Alexander Rowe through 1 and 2, 183 down to 182. If he can keep it right there as he comes off turn 2, and he will, what speed can he get up to down the backstretch is the question. Yeah, I don't think this is competing with TJ Hanley's lap, but this can compete with Oskan with Vinta. 189 into turn number 3 for Alexander Rowe. It's looking like it could be a front row lap for that 00. Here he comes off turn 4 down the front stretch. 186 to the start finish line. Alexander Rowe placed with a 47.944 and misses the front row by 5 thousandths of a second. A 47.944 places him currently in the 3rd position, as you mentioned, 5 thousandths off of Oskan's front row lap time. So it's a close battle there. Right now, Alexander Rowe currently slotted in 3rd. But next up, we have another Gatorade Cup Series veteran, Jonathan Buford in the 62. Jonathan Buford off pit road to start his qualifying lap for the Gatorade Cup Series Season 9 Daytona 500. This is another veteran of the Gatorade Cup Series. He's raced so many seasons. He's raced so many car numbers, 15, 55, you name it, he's raced it. Now he's with the number 62 team, looking for success this season, trying to get back to some glory he's had earlier in his career, trying to win a championship, trying to win more races. Buford could definitely do it. He knows how to get it done. And we'll see, he's in a Chevy. For what we've seen today, Chevy's been pretty good. You know, a few outliers here and there, but right now, Jonathan Buford, will see what speed he can get up to on this at the end of this backstretch. It's looking like it might be a little bit slower than what we've seen the last 2 Chevys that went out. Obviously, the Starcom cars of Colton Yo and Alexander Rowe, who has placed pretty well so far. We'll just have to see what Jonathan Buford can do on his first lap here qualifying. So down into the trial. Jonathan Buford, green flag in the air, but he's only 179. That's not looking too good. This could be a lap just like Carter Friesen set down in the 43, where we saw 48.323. 180 into turn number 1, but now dropping down below that mark. Down to 179 for Jonathan Buford. Back up to 180 at the exit of turn number 2. And down the back stretch. He is the 19th driver to take time here today. We'll just have to see what lap he can put up. That was a good backstretch for him, 187. I was very surprised he actually got up to that mark. I was expecting a lot slower down the backstretch, but he did a great job regaining that speed. I see some good straight line speed out of that number 62. And into the trial, 185, not too much slower. Lap time 48.659, so it could be a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. It didn't look like it was going to be too fast, but I think I'm just so used to seeing some of these other fast laps that I'm kind of blind to what some of these good laps have looked like. Jonathan Buford through 1 and 2, not going below 181. That's definitely going to help him down this backstretch. Yeah, I could see 189 at the end of this backstretch. This could be a lap that actually rivals William Bolin in the 3 or say, the 15 of Riley Sampson. 188 at the end of the backstretch for Jonathan Buford as he gets to turn number 3. Final time in qualifying for the 62. Here he comes off turn number 4, front stretch. And we'll see what speed he can get up to try and get to the start-finish line faster. Trial 185, it's going to be a 48.219. So 48.219 for Jonathan Buford. Going to place him just ahead of Levi Shones and just behind Riley Sampson in the 15. And next up on the racetrack, we have the 34 of Trey Wright. So we have 2 Fords coming up in a row. The 34 and the 38, 2 teammates coming up next. It'll be Trey Wright the next to hit the track. Here comes Trey Wright off of pit road to get his first laps in a Gatorade Cup Series car in the books. Trey Wright, a rookie to the Gatorade Cup Series, has joined Front Row Motorsports, and here he is in number 34, looking for a good season. His teammate Al Lagasse will be the next car to come out. After him, we have Ann McDowell, then Nathan Orman, along with Jonathan Rains, Alex Fletcher, then Jeff Bright in the 9, who won the Clash just last night. So Trey Wright is only the 4th Ford to hit the racetrack He is the 20th driver out on the racetrack. And currently the fastest Ford is Levi Jones at a 48.235, which is currently tracking in the second half of the field. So Ford wanting to show their hands at some point with Trey Wright. It's looking like it's going to be a good lap for him. He did go pretty fast at the end of the backstretch there. Let's have to see what Trey Wright can do here as he comes off turn number 4 to take lap number 1 of qualifying. 34 Trey Wright. To the tri-oval, 179 at the start-finish line. Green flag for qualifying for Trey Wright. 2 rookies at Front Row Motorsports this season. He is one of them. In the number 34 car, 180 to turn 1, drops down to 179 in the middle of 1 and 2, but he's going to pick it back up from what we've seen to 180 at the exit of turn 2. There it is, 180, now climbing up fast down this backstretch. And we've seen 187 at the end of this backstretch with laps like he has going, and they have put laps in the low 48.2s, the high 48.1s. So we'll see. He's going to be somewhere around, if I had to guess, Riley Sampson, around Jonathan Buford, around Levi Jones. Yeah, this actually could be the normal of the laps we are going to see from here on out. You know, high 48.1s, low 48.2s. Trey Wright's first lap of 48.74, which is a tick slower than Jonathan Buford's first lap. So if I had to get this, it's going to be somewhere around Levi Jones, who put up a 48.235. And that is right now the fastest Ford currently. Trey Wright working his way off turn number 2 and down the backstretch. 34 car gaining speed. 186, 187. Can he get up to 188 is the big question. Looks like he does. 188 for Trey Wright at the end of the backstretch. And now the question is, how well can he get off turn number 4 into the start-finish line to end his qualifying run? Well, the question going to be answered right here. Tri-oval, Trey Wright, 34. Lap time for him in qualifying is a 48.321. Considerably slower than the fastest Ford of Levi Jones, a full 10th off of that number 92. So 48.321 for Trey Wright. Puts him just 2 thousandths ahead of Carter Friesen and the 43. And now, as we mentioned, next driver on the racetrack will be the 34's teammate, the 38 of Al Lagasse. Here comes Al Lagasse in the 38 off of pit road. As we mentioned with his teammate Trey Wright, the last car to go out, he is a rookie in the Gatorade Cup Series. Front Row Motorsports, both their cars, held by rookies. So they have no experience whatsoever in these Gatorade Cup Series cars. Right now on their team, we'll see how these drivers can do. As Al Lagasse getting up to speed, he is a 5th Ford to take time. 4 Fords have gone before him, and it's not looking good for the Ford camp right now. Their highest driver is Levi Jones, who's currently 11th of 20 drivers that have gone out, which means he is in the bottom half. He is the top of the bottom half that have gone out. For Al Lagasse, 164th at stripe, not looking good for him at all. I mean, these Ford drivers, I know we've not seen the bulk of the Fords gone out. This is only the 5th driver we've seen. We have the 4 SHR cars, 2 of the Penske cars. We have the Wood Brothers racing car. I mean, we have about 7, 8 more Fords to go out, but this is very concerning if you're in the Ford camp. Right now, your fast driver is 11th at the 48.235. TJ Hanley, who holds the pole right now, is at 47.685. So, I mean, something has to be done for these drivers, for these Ford teams, to pick up the speed and compete with the fast Toyotas, with all these Chevys. Because Chevy right now is out kicking everyone's butts with how consistent they have been. I mean, they have a driver in the front row, then they have a driver in 3rd, they have a driver in 4th, they have a driver in 5th, they have a driver in 6th. So, I mean, they're right now 2nd through 6th, and then a Toyota breaks it up in 7th. Al Lagasse coming off turn 4 to complete his first lap. That's speed code number 38 Ford Fusion. Down the front stretch, Al Lagasse, the 21st driver to take time after him. We'll be halfway done with qualifying. Lagasse at 48.908. I mean, that's just not a great lap at all. That is with some of the slowest drivers we've seen, like Jay Jefferson, like Danny Lloyd. And that's not what you want to see if you are a team member of this 38 car. And Trey Wright didn't go that fast either. A 48.321 is down near Carter Friesen, who's one of the slower drivers as well. Down the backstretch for Al Lagasse, picking up to 186, 187 briefly there as he enters turn number 3 for the final time in his qualifying run. First time ever in a Gatorade Cup Series car. He comes off turn number 4. Al Lagasse coming to see the checkered flag on his qualifying for the Daytona 500. Where will it seat him? What will his time be? It'll be a 48.489 for Al Lagasse, and that is one of the slower drivers we have seen here today. Jay Jefferson and Max Anderson are, I believe, the only two that are slower than him currently. So Al Lagasse seeds in not too fast. We'll see what we can do in the duel, though, to pick up that. Next, though, we have another Ford coming out, Am McDowell in the number 22. Here comes Am McDowell, back-to-back Target Series champion for the number 16. He left Roush Fenway Racing, though, at the end of last season. He has now joined forces with another Ford team of Penske Racing. He is the third straight Ford we have here in qualifying, the sixth Ford overall. As we mentioned, right now the top four is Levi Schoen's. He is 11th of 21 cars that have gone out. Cannot be feeling good if you're in the Ford camp. Let's have to see, though, what Am McDowell can do on this qualifying lap. His teammate Max Anderson, who was last season's Gatorade Cup Series champion, has run the slowest lap of 48.540. So let's see what Am McDowell can do. Is he going to be faster than his teammate? Is he going to be slower? Is he going to be about the same? We're going to find out here at the white line, 166. I mean, that's pretty good. This is the best we've seen of Ford so far today. Am McDowell, as I mentioned, back-to-back Target Series championships in the number 16 car. He has now left Roush Fenway Racing, though, the team that's just given him so much success. He's here with Penske Racing. And here we go to the green flag for Am McDowell, 179 at the start finish. And he should get up to 180, possibly 181 by the time he hits turn number 1. It'll be 180 all the way to turn 1 for AMAC. And last season, the Gatorade Cup Series drove the number 16 for Roush Fenway Racing and was a nose away from winning at Texas. Other than that, though, it was a very, very quiet season for Am McDowell. He's looking, though, in his sophomore season to ramp it up, get maybe more top fives, a win or two. He has not won a Gatorade Cup Series race so far. He's looking to try and change that and also make the chase this season. Last season, he missed the chase. We'll see what he can do this season in number 22. So as he comes off turn number 4, what does lap 1 look like for Am McDowell in the 22? His teammate Max Anderson, we mentioned, slowest lap 48.540. This lap for Am McDowell, time in a 48.778. Once again, that's just not that fast. I mean, if he runs like he did, Levi Schoen, he's going to be either just ahead of Levi Schoen or just behind Levi Schoen, who ran a 48.235. I just do not see this going great for Am McDowell. I do not see it going much better than what it did for Levi Schoen on his qualifying lap. Down the backstretch for Am McDowell, up to 184, 185. Now to 186 and 187. But cannot get up to 188 by the time he hits turn number 3. So here comes Am McDowell, the 6th Ford to take time. And looks like all 6 are going to be in the bottom half of the field at the moment. Checker flag waving for Am McDowell on his second Daytona 500 in the Gatorade Cup Series. It's going to be a 48.361. That's just not close at all to what some of these drivers have run, a 48.361. It's going to be one of the slower drivers here. There's always the duel, though, to try and pick up the pace. Am McDowell currently slow in the 22. But next up, we have another Chevrolet from Hendrick Motorsports, the 24 of Nathan Ormond. Nathan Ormond, off pit road, a rookie in the Gatorade Cup Series. His first Gatorade Cup Series start will come here in the Daytona 500 for Season 9, driving the famed number 24 for Hendrick Motorsports, which has had so much success here in the Gatorade Cup Series. Eli Bright has driven that number. So many drivers before have driven this number 24. Nathan Ormond is now the next recipient of it. Kevin Bandon, a champion of the Gatorade Cup Series, has driven this number. We'll see what Nathan Ormond can do with it here in Season 9 of the Gatorade Cup Series. Looking for a few wins in his rookie season, trying to make the chase. But Ormond in a Chevrolet, which we've seen has been so fast here in qualifying, 165 at that white line. His two teammates have been consistent together. Anthony Hernandez, a 48.01. Eli Bright, the 88, a 48.056. So they're only about half a tenth from each other. And Ormond right now, though, looking slower than those two as he comes to the start-finish line. It's only going to be 178 at the start-finish line at the stripe. And he's looking slower right now than some of the Chevys we have seen. Maybe the track has slowed down because the past 3 cars that have gone out, the past 4 cars that have gone out, have not been anything spectacular. It's been since the double zero rounds in a row since we have seen a time below a 48.2. Jonathan Buford, the fastest of the last 4th, a 48.219. Pole lap, TJ Hanley, a 47.685. It's just how fast TJ's been. And then the next fastest is Oskan with a 47.939. Orman to turn number 3, not looking too fast. And right now he's tracking right around where Max Anderson was. Max Anderson at 48.540, the slowest car that's been out on the racetrack. Try over for Nathan Orman, 184 miles an hour, and he sees a 48.919. That is not good. Yeah, that's right around where these drivers that are in the 48.5s, the 48.4s have tracked. I just don't think the 24 has it right now. So we have seen 200 more sports cars go out. 2 have been fast. And right now this one lacking. Nathan Orman, the 24. Once again, like we have said, maybe some of these teams, they have 4 cars. Second Motorsports has 4 cars. Had they taken 2 and said, we're going to focus on speed with these 2, had they taken the other 2 and said, hey, we're going to focus on handling to make sure that these cars can last through it. Had they decided to go 2 different ways and see which one works better, so that when they go to, say, Talladega, Pensacola, Daytona later on, because we have so many super speedway races, can they say, this works better at Daytona, we're going to use this now for the rest of our super speedway programs. For Nathan Orman, his lap time, not that fast, a 48.499, and Nathan Orman, one of the slower ones to run here so far at Daytona, but we still have a lot of the field left to run. And next up is another Ford, the first Stewart-Haas car we will see, the number 4 of Jonathan Rains. Jonathan Rains wasting no time to get out onto the racetrack, eager for his Gatorade Cup Series return. He has driven past seasons in the Gatorade Cup Series, taking some time off. He's back in the number 4 for Stewart-Haas Racing. He is another Ford to come and hit the racetrack, but so far the fastest Ford, as we've kept mentioning, is Levi Schoen's. It's not really that fast, a 48.235, middle of the road. Can Rains break that? He's the first Stewart-Haas car to come out. Has Stewart-Haas Racing brought their stuff for Ford here in the Daytona 500? We're about to find out. The number 4, Jonathan Rains, out onto the racetrack, merging up onto the racetrack. And you want to get as fast as you can to this white line. We'll see. It's looking pretty fast. Yeah, that's one of the fastest speeds we've seen at that white line. Just watch for this lap. Jonathan Rains, he might pull something out of his hat. Yeah, this could compete with, say, the 95, the 00, the 47. We have not seen someone even come close to TJ Hanley yet. He hit about 176, 177 at that line. I mean, Rains 180 at the start-finish line at the stripe. It's looking pretty good. 181. Can he get to 182? He does for a split second there. But Rains 181 as he goes through 1. Now down to 180 in the middle of 1 and 2. And it stays there. Pretty good for Rains so far. I mean, this could be the fastest Ford we have seen run here today so far. It could be one of the fastest cars we have seen run here today. This could be a top 5 lap. 188, end of the backstretch for the Ford, Jonathan Rains. He goes through 3 and 4. Number 4, first Stewart-Haas Racing car, Jonathan Rains. Where will he place on his first lap is the big question. Out into the front stretch, 186, into the tri-oval. Jonathan Rains' first lap puts him at a 48.430. One of the fastest first laps for Ford. Probably the fastest first lap we've seen for Ford. He's only 2/10 off the fastest Ford lap, which is a 48.235 set by Levi Schoen's. I don't think this could be a front row lap. This is going to be a lap, though, that could challenge the 48, the 88 up there, some of the fastest Chevys. Down the backstretch. Yeah, he might be able to break into the 47-second bracket. We'll just have to see. He's flirting with 189 entering turn 3. He does keep a nice, steady, constant pace there. Here he is through 3 and 4. Jonathan Rains in the 4. Looking for a hot lap for Ford. It would be the first to break inside the top 10. Jonathan Rains, checkered flag. 48.011. And he is 1,000th off the 48 of Anthony Hernandez. So put the 4 up inside the top 10, close to the top 5. Jonathan Rains, a good lap for Ford, and that has definitely given Ford some more confidence going forward. Stewart-Haas Racing and the Ford team have brought their stuff. Next on the racetrack, though, is the 72 of Alex Fletcher. Back here for Daytona 500 qualifying, leaving pit road right now is Alex Fletcher in the number 72 car. Another rookie to the Gatorade Cup Series, season number 9. Last car we saw go out, Jonathan Rains in the 4, set down the fastest lap for Ford. Fletcher, another Chevy to come out onto the racetrack. As we have seen, as we have said so many times, Chevy has been consistently fast other than a few race cars that they have brought out so far. So let's see if Fletcher can keep that momentum going. To get on the pole, he has to beat TJ Henley's 47.685. No one's come close to that yet. And on the front row, we have Oskan, a 47.939. So if he can beat one of those 2 laps, he will be on the front row for the Season 9 Daytona 500. At the white line, 165, which is about the norm we have seen so far today in this qualifying session. So Fletcher comes through 3 and 4. As he comes off turn number 4, he'll see the green flag, the green light, to start his qualifying run for his rookie season, the Daytona 500, 178 at the start-finish line for Alex Fletcher. If he get up to 180, he does, but back down to 179 as he enters turn number 1. Alex Fletcher trying to find the speed in that car, his first time in a Gatorade Cup Series car. As we've seen, some of these rookies have struggled in this qualifying session. We'll see how he does, though, down this backstretch. It's all about putting together that great outlap. If you get that outlap together good, the rest will be good. That's all. It all depends on that first outlap that they have. 187 as he hits the end of the backstretch. So Alex Fletcher putting together a decent lap. That's about the norm that we have seen, about middle of the road. So this should be somewhere around, once it all cycles through, if this trend keeps going, should be around the 20s, maybe the high teens. So for Fletcher, his first lap is a 48.813. Not too good of a first lap. We'll see how he can improve on this second lap. Fletcher to turn number 1. 183, 182, just hovering around that area. 181 as he goes through 1 and 2. And now picking up the pace off 2 and down the back. Picking it up, 184, 185. And then to 186. 187. Can he get up to 188 at the end of the backstretch? He does for a brief moment there. So Alex Fletcher picking up the pace on this second lap. He comes off turn number 4. Qualifying for the number 72 will be done right here at Daytona. The lap time for Alex Fletcher is the question. Second lap for the 72, definitely faster. How much faster? It is a 48.396. So for Alex Fletcher, a 48.396, which is going to be about middle of the road once all cycles through. Once again, 48.396 for the number 72 of Alex Fletcher. And next out on the grid, we have the number 9 of Jeff Bright. Here comes Jeff Bright in the 9s. He is left pit road, coming up onto the backstretch to start his qualifying run. A lot to talk about for this man. He's been in the Gatorade Cup Series since season number 2. That was his rookie season. He won the championship that season and has won so many races in this Joe Rutt League. He's one of the winningest drivers in the Joe Rutt League. He is the winningest driver in the Joe Rutt League. 24 wins. He's got win number 24 in the Clash last night. It's his second Clash triumph. And I mean, he has not won a Gatorade Cup Series points-paying race since season number 6. So he wants to get back to that glory, and doing that would be to win this Daytona 500 pole. He won the pole for this race back 2 seasons ago in season number 7. He's looking to return to victory lane in the Gatorade Cup Series in a points-paying race. Obviously, he's won that 9 points-paying race with this Clash just last night, but he wants more here. Out of this number 9, he wants to win a points-paying race this season. And so far, his teammates have put down some pretty good laps. Anthony Hernandez is still sitting solidly with a 48.010, and Eli Bright just behind him with a 48.056. Jeff Bright not wanting to trend like his teammate Nathan Ormond, who's at 48.499, which is one of the slowest cars we have seen here today. So as Jeff Bright goes through 3 and 4, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty good lap. I would say it's going to be better than what we have seen the last few runs, but it's not going to be that wow lap like we have seen some people put down to get, up inside the top 5. But for Jeff Bright, lap number 1 is a 48.697, which is going to probably put him around a 48.2 once all cycles through. 184 off to turn number 1 for the number 9 of Jeff Bright. Just flat-footing it around this 2.5 mile heavy bank super speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. Off turn 2 and down the backstretch for the number 9. Picking up the pace up to 185, 186. Trying to get to 188 by the end of this backstretch. He does succeed at that. So he goes through 3 and 4. Jeff Bright in the 9. Coming off turn number 4 to see the checkered flag on his qualifying run in the 9th Daytona 500. Jeff Bright, lap time for him, a 48.268. So the number 9, 48.268. It's It's going to put him around the middle of the field. He's going to have to fight forward to try and get every spot he can in his duel if he wants to try and keep going for that Daytona Speed Week sweep. But next up on the track, we will have the number 33 car coming out next. Steven Taylor pulling off pit road and on to the racetrack. This is a man that his whole Gatorade Cup Series career is in his third season right now. It's just been one success after the other. His rookie season, he won multiple races, made it far into the chase. Actually, I had a shot at the championship come Homestead. It was a slim shot. Obviously couldn't deliver there at Homestead. But the next season then switched from the RCR number 31 to the JGR number 20. Found more success, won multiple races, and had a shot once again all the way down to Homestead where he could not deliver in the number 20. Now he's with this number 33, Steven Taylor, back in his Chevrolet. He's looking for more success in his Gatorade Cup Series career's third season. He's already won a lot of races, and he's just looking for more wins, trying to make the chase for his third season in the Gatorade Cup Series. We'll have to see how his qualifying run goes here at Daytona. 165 with that white line. Once again, to try and challenge with TJ Hanley, we saw him go about 167 at that white line. He was so fast. So Steven Taylor right now off that mark to try to challenge for TJ Hanley. We'll have to see though how these two laps go for that number 33. And of course the next cars we have going out, the 2 of Luke Ray and the 1 of Sebastian and the 32 of Derek Hamill, the 41 Matt Godden, and the 17 of Carter Joey are the next few that will take the track for Daytona 500 qualifying. After Steven Taylor, there'll be 15 cars left to qualify in this Daytona 500. Steven Taylor off turn number 2 and down the backstretch up to 180. Trying to gain all this speed back down the backstretch of that straight line speed. Not looking too fast right now for Steven Taylor, only up to 186 off to turn number 3. And we've seen some drivers peak out 187 there, and with Hanley, he peaked out, I believe, like 189 on his first lap there. So Taylor, as he comes off turn number 4. Not going to be a blistering lap for that number 33. We'll see where it places him in the running order on lap 1. First lap for Steven Taylor, 48.961. That might be the worst first lap we have seen since Max Anderson, who was the second guy to run out, is currently seated in the last position. And Max Anderson's time is a 48.540. So that's where he is placed in the final position. Can Taylor try and top Max Anderson? Keep last season's champion at the back, or can Taylor, is he going to fall behind Max Anderson like he did last season in battling for the championship at Homestead? I mean, the Homestead race was crazy. We saw all these championship contenders in Rex. Max Anderson spun around. We saw Steven Taylor with damage. We saw Trip McGinnis get damaged. I mean, there were so many championship contenders that were damaged in that. And then Cole Luigi looked like he had the championship. Then he fell back to where Max Anderson got it. But for Steven Taylor, all spotlight on him as he comes down. It's a 48.552, and that currently seeds him in the final position. So Steven Taylor, the slowest of the guys that have gone out so far, at a 48.552, and 15 drivers left to run in this Daytona 500 qualifying. And the next is another Ford, the number 2 of Luke Rainey. Luke Rainey leaving his pit stall now. Another veteran that we've seen in the Gatorade Cup Series season after season after season. His first season, season number 3, driving the RCR number 27, picked up a win at Phoenix. A very, very fluke win, as he would probably call it. He not performed well at all that season. Phoenix was his only victory of the season. Season number 4, he went out and won at Bristol. He won at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Season 5, he won at Bristol again. Season 6, winning at Pocono. And Season 7 was his first season not winning a race in the Gatorade Cup Series. However, he did make the chase in that season. And then last season, season number 8, did pick up a victory. But here he is now down the backstretch, coming to take the green flag in his qualifying run here for the Daytona 500. It's not very fast at that white line, 164. And we have seen this out of all these Fords, especially the Penske Fords. So far, we've had 2 of the 3 Penske cars go out. Luke Rainey going to be the third of those. And McDowell's the fastest of those with a 48.361, which is slow, which is probably bottom of the bottom half. And then you have Max Anderson, who was the second to last. So, I mean, he's the second slowest. So Luke Rainey, you know, he's got to be feeling like these Fords have not brought their stuff to Daytona at all. He really wants to try and improve on this average that Ford has going for them in qualifying. The fastest Ford right now is Jonathan Rains, and SHR Ford at 48.011, which is a pretty good lap inside the top 10. The next fastest is Levi Shones, who is at a 48.235. So these Fords have not really brought their stuff at all. Luke Rainey trying to change that, but he's not really going that fast down this backstretch. 186 is all we can muster out of this number 2. He's driven the number 2 every season since season number 4. Penske's kept him around. They saw the height of his success in season number 7 where he made the chase. He's back now trying to make the chase this season in the Gatorade Cup Series. Lap 1 for him is going to be a 49.006, the slowest first lap we have seen out of anyone here today. Slower than what we just saw out of the 33 of Steven Taylor. Yeah, that too is looking like it is down on power right now. Luke Rainey not going to be happy with this lap. He has wanted to win as Super Speedway and the Gatorade Cup Series and the Penske Truck Series and the Target Series for so long. He finally accomplished that last season, winning at Pensacola in the Truck Series races, swept those races last season, won at Pensacola in the Gatorade Cup Series in what I would call the best comeback I've ever seen a driver do, coming from last to first in the final 4 laps. I mean, it was outstanding for Luke Rainey. Dominated that race, fell back. When he got shuffled back, he came out to the front in 4 laps from 42nd all the way up to first. And for Luke Rainey, he might have to do that in his duel, as his second lap is going to be a 48.594. We have now gone back-to-back slowest laps. Steven Taylor just held the slowest lap, and now Luke Rainey will hold the slowest lap with a 48.594. He's definitely got to come from the back of his duel to try and challenge and get a higher starting spot. But next out, we have the number 1 of Sebastian Kukulon. Here comes the 1 of Sebastian Kukulon, ready to take time in his CGR number 1 Chevrolet, as he has had some success in the Gatorade Cup Series in the past. The last 2 seasons he has made the chase. Last season, though, he really faltered in the chase. He made the chase last season. 2 seasons ago, he missed the chase barely at Richmond, but he won, I believe it was 3 races that season. Last season, he also won 3 races, but didn't really do much in the chase. He's looking now, he's went from winning 3 races and not making the chase to then winning 3 races and making the chase. He's looking to win 3 races this season and make it further into the chase. Sebastian Kukulon, the first Chip Ganassi racing car we will see go out. Luigi will go out in a few more cars, and for him, 165 at that white line. Not too shabby for the number 1, but lately this track has had a famine on these drivers in qualifying. Of the last 10 drivers that have gone out, only 1 has been faster than a 48.2, and that was Jonathan Reigns' lap, which was a 48.011. Kukulon 180 at the start-finish line, so it's looking like it's going to be a pretty good first lap. He is picking up the pace pretty well. 181 off to turn number 1. That's what he needs to do. He really wants to keep it above 180 through 1 and 2. If it falls below to 179 for just a little bit, that's fine. But from what we've seen lately, keeping above 180, that should get you inside the top half of this field for now. As Chip Ganassi Racing brought their stuff to Daytona 500 qualifying. Down the backstretch for the 187 up to 188. That's a good first lap right here. It's not going to be contending for the pole, but it's going to be a nice solid first lap, and especially if the drivers that we have just seen gone out, where the last 2 have been the 2 slowest so far. Right now, Luke Rainey and Steven Taylor are sitting in the bottom 2, and they've been the last 2 to go out. This is great to see how Sebastian Kukulon see a car actually going fast lately here in qualifying. It's a 48.471. That is a great first lap for the number 1 of Sebastian Kukulon. That could be sitting in the 48.0s by the end of this lap. We'll just have to see how this second lap goes for that number 1, though. He was 184 off to turn number 1, slowing down to 182 in the middle of 1 and 2. But now he'll pick the speed back up down the backstretch up to 183. He's picking up that pace pretty well down this backstretch. Not going to lie. It's looking pretty good for the 1 of Sebastian Kukulon. 188, can't get up to 189. Oh, he did for a second there. He is up to 189 entering turn number 3. So a good second lap for Sebastian Kukulon. He comes off turn number 4. Where will it place him in the starting lineup for the Daytona 500? Sebastian Kukulon, number 1 car. McDonald's Chevrolet, start-finish line for him. Chip Ganassi Racing seeds him in a 48.041. It's a 48.041 for Sebastian Kukulon. That's one of the faster cars we have seen go out here today. He jumps over Eli Bright in the 88. Also the 99 of Colton Yo as well. So Kukulon, a great lap there. The number 1 seeded pretty well so far in Daytona 500 qualifying. But next up we have the hometown boy, Derek Hamill in the 32. Here comes Derek Hamill on pit road, leaving for his chance at Daytona 500 qualifying pole here today. He is a Floridian from Daytona Beach, Florida. Derek Hamill, the hometown boy, the hometown favorite, looking to try and do well here at Daytona in front of the hometown crowd. And currently he has to beat TJ Henley's 47.685 to get on pole, or cement Oskan's 47.939 to get on the front row. Once again, this is another Ford that is coming out. We have seen the Fords. They've not been too strong. The fastest is Jonathan Reigns. The next fastest is Levi Schultz, who's 2 tenths off the 4. So it's just going to be interesting to see if Derek Hamill could try and place a fast lap in, or if he's going to be like the other Fords. And actually, after Hamill, we have 3 more Fords that will come out onto the racetrack. And it's actually a good lap. They're going to speed for Hamill, 166 at that white line. This could be, in all reality, this could be a front row contending lap for the 32 of Derek Hamill. Yeah, no one has come close. TJ Hanley is almost 0.3 faster than the next close guy, about 2.5 faster than Oskan, who was sitting on the front row with them. So Hamill at the start-finish line, 180 miles an hour, trying to get up as fast as he can entering turn number 1. Yeah, it gets up to 181. That's what he needs right here. Back down to 180, though. It's kind of fluttering with that 180. There's something about the Fords, because we saw right now, we saw the 1 go pretty fast right there. He wasn't as fast as that white line, though, as Derek Hamill was, but through the corners, these Fords, they just seem to struggle. They can't keep the speed up. They can get going well, they just can't keep it up. Yeah, because we saw Kukulon go 165 with that white line. Hamill was 166, but now Hamill is slower than the one of Kukulon was. Still should be a pretty good lap for Derek Hamill as he comes out to the front stretch and to complete his first lap in Daytona 500 qualifying. So 48.616. Now to lap 2. Yeah, for the 32 of Hamill has just been, like we said with Colton Yeo, heartbreak in the Gatorade Cup Series for Derek Hamill. I mean, it was back in the same season Colton Yeo got spun from the lead by second place, where it was Hamill leading on the last lap at Rockingham. He absolutely was going to steal the win from the 29 Jonathan Rains and the others around him. And then coming off turn number 2, lap car got to the wall, top of him came down into Hamill, put the 34 into the wall, and Hamill spun around and did not end up finishing that race even inside the top 20. He did make the chase that season, though. Didn't really go far in the chase, but he was still a chase contender in that season. So he has had some success in the Gatorade Cup Series. Wants his first career GCS win to come here this season. It would be very special if it happened at a place like Daytona, where he was born in Florida. It's a 48.204 for Derek Hamill. Put him as the second fastest Ford so far in this qualifying event, a 48.204. We have 3 more Fords that will come out right down in a row. 5 left to run in total. So next out will be the 41 of Matt Godden. Matt Godden on the apron, getting up to speed to start his Daytona 500 qualifying run for Season 9. Another rookie that we have here in the Gatorade Cup Series, driving number 41 for Stewart-Haas Racing. And he's looking to bring this number 41 to success. Stewart-Haas Racing has had so much success over the Gatorade Cup Series. They have won a lot of races. They're looking for a championship, though. They've seen, Hendrick Motorsports win these championships. They saw RCR win some championships, CGR. They're looking to win a championship as a Ford manufacturer. Ford won their first Gatorade Cup Series championship last season with the number 98 of Max Anderson. And currently right now, Ford is down on power in this Daytona 500 qualifying session. Their fastest is Godden's teammate, the 4 of Jonathan Rains, a 48.011. So we'll see if the 41 is just like his teammate or if he's slower like some of these others that we've seen gone out. So coming to take the green flag, Matt Godden at the start finish line, 179 miles an hour for that number 41. And Godden off to turn number 1 at 180, but now fluttering down below 179 miles an hour for that number 41. Now up to 180 as he comes down the backstretch. Just looking at these 4 drivers go out, if I was in that car, I would be furious if I was a Ford driver. Seeing us be some of the slowest guys that have gone out on the racetrack, I'd be absolutely furious. I'd be going to my crew chief, I'd be going to my engineers saying, what can we do to make this car faster, to make this car better? Can you make this thing go faster? Is what these drivers are right now saying to their crew chiefs back in the garage area, where, say, like Oliver Galloway saying, like Max Anderson, Luke Rainey, they're saying, can we make this thing go faster? How can we make this thing go faster? Matt Godden's first lap of 48.849. We have come to expect that out of Ford now at this point in this session. They have not been that fast at all. And Matt Godden just continuing that trend. He's the second Stewart-Haas Racing car to go out of 4. We'll have his teammate, the 14 and the 10, coming up very shortly on in this session. And next up is 2 more Fords, Carter Joey and Tyler Fink. Then we have Code Luigi, then Mitchell Collins, Jake Galloway, Trey Rainey, Wyatt Walker, Marshall Burrow, Joe Jefferson, Derek Bouchard, and Mathis Wells to round out this qualifying field. So we're down to the final few here in qualifying for the Season 9 Daytona 500. Matt Godden comes off turn number 4 at 184 miles an hour. And what will that be for the 41? It's not going to be too fast, I can tell you that. It's not going to be a front row contending lap. It's a 48.430, and you have to think that at this point, we've come to expect this out of Ford, to just see these lap times being the 48.3s, the 48.4s, the 48.5s, and that is not a good sign. These Ford drivers, they need to find something out of their cars. Right now, Jonathan Rains is the only fast one that has gone out onto the racetrack so far. So Matt Gunn done with his qualifying lap. As we mentioned, next out is Carter Joey in the 17. Carter Joey antsy to get out onto the racetrack for his first Gatorade Cup Series start, coming out onto the racetrack in the number 17 Rouseman Racing Ford, which has won a Daytona 500 in the past. It was the number 17 that went to victory lane in season number 7 of the Gatorade Cup Series Daytona 500. And they're looking to repeat that here again this season with Carter Joey in the 17 behind the wheel. So Carter Joey, a rookie to the Gatorade Cup Series, as we mentioned. And as we mentioned, another Ford coming out onto this racetrack. We saw right now Matt Gunn just went out last. We saw Derek Hamill go out. They were some of the slowest cars, maybe towards the middle of the bracket. Then we saw Luke Rainey. He is right now the slowest of the drivers that have taken time. Carter Joey wants to be faster. His teammate Alvarado in a 48.344, which I have to guess is somewhere in the middle of the road currently in qualifying. So Carter Joey through 3 and 4. Coming to take the green flag on his Gatorade Cup Series career. First time his Gatorade Cup Series car right here at Daytona in pole qualifying. Green flag in the air, Carter Joey taking the green for Cup qualifying here at Daytona. After him, we will have 10 cars left to run in Daytona 500 pole qualifying. TJ Hanley's been untouchable. 47.685 is the time to beat to be on the pole for the Daytona 500. The next closest time, 2.5 tenths back. It is the 47 Matt Oskan who sits on the front row. Those two right now, if they're to stay on the front row, they will have that front row spot as long as they do not crash in their dual races. Carter Joey off turn number 4 for the number 17 Fastenal Ford. Where will it place him in the ranking? To the tri-oval, 17 car, lap 1, Carter Joey, a 48.561. That's probably one of the fastest Ford first laps we've seen. This could place him in the 48 teens. Carter Joey through 1 and 2, keeping it above 180. Oh, it went down to 181 for a second there. Couldn't keep that speed up. That's, as we mentioned, a problem with these Fords that we've seen. They just can't keep the speed up through these corners and down these long straightaways. It's like they don't have the power to contend with the Chevys and the Toyotas. We've not really seen that many Toyotas go out. We've only seen, I believe, 4 go out of all of them that are scheduled to run. But back to this number 17 Ford Fusion for Rouseman Racing. Carter Joey, his teammate, with a 48.344, the 17 car will place down a 48.136. That is a good lap for Carter Joey. That is the second fastest Ford that has gone out on the racetrack. A 48.136 for Carter Joey. And some sighs of relief out of that number 17 team. They have put together a pretty good race car in terms of the other Fords around them. And next up, another Ford, the number 21 of Tyler Fink. 10 cars left to qualify, and the first of them is this number 21 of Tyler Fink. Another Ford to come out. This Wood Brothers Racing Ford Fusion related to Penske Racing. You got to think, if you are related to Penske Racing, you've got to be feeling not very confident in what your car has under the hood. The fastest of the Penske cars is Adam McDowell at 48.361, and then you have Max Harrison at 48.540, and then Luke Rainey at 48.594. 2 of the 3 Penske cars are 2 of the 3 slowest here today so far in the Gatorade Cup Series front row qualifying for the Daytona 500 in Season 9. For Tyler Fink, though, it is, I believe, his second Gatorade Cup Series season. His first came back in season number 7, driving this number 21, and didn't really have much success. In fact, it was a pretty horrible season for the number 21 team and all involved in that project. Then Sebastian Kukulon got handed the keys to the ride last season, brought to 3 wins in the chase. Fink now looking to try and back up what Kukulon did last season and show that it wasn't the driver that was at fault in Season 7, it was the equipment that was at fault. And we'll see what he could do on his qualifying lap, 180 at the start-finish line. That's a pretty good lap he has going right now. He's up to 181 by the time he gets out of the tri-oval. 182! This could challenge TJ Hanley's pole lap. If it's not going to challenge his pole lap, it's going to challenge the front row lap, for sure. Tyler Fink, showing that the Fords do have speed if you do it right. Down the backstretch, already up to 185. He's not even halfway down the backstretch. Can he get up to 189? That's 189. He has to see that to try and have a shot. Hanley. Oh, he does! 189 to turn number 3 for Tyler Fink. Will he sit on the front row with Hanley, or will he sit on the pole with Hanley to his outside? We're about to find out. Lap 1 for Tyler Fink. The 48.324. He needs to pick up, though, 7/10 to have a shot at TJ Hanley. That's going to be tough. I just don't see that happening. But we never know. Fink through 1 and 2 well. To sit on the front row, we have to beat Oskan's 47.939. Knocked the only Chevrolet off the front row. And down the backstretch, 188 up to 189 again. Can he get a sniff of 190 to turn 3? He doesn't, but 189, that's good enough to try and sit on the front row. We saw Hanley get to 190, so I don't think it's going to challenge that 23, but it's going to challenge that 47 for sure. Here they come. Tyler Fink looking to sit on the front row for the Season 9 Daytona 500. Wood Brothers Racing gets a 47.887, and Tyler Fink is on the provisional front row in the Season 9 Daytona 500, the second fastest time we have seen here today. And it comes out of the Ford, and the last 2 Fords that have gone out have been some of the fastest. Fink now sits as the fastest Ford and on the front row. But next out is champion and veteran of the Gatorade Cup Series, Code Luigi in the 42. Code Luigi either wanted to get this over with or is antsy to know how fast his car is. Luigi ready to get out here and qualify for the Season 9 Daytona 500. The last 2 seasons we've done this single car qualifying, it has been very, very miserable for Code Luigi, especially since he has gone out early. He has not put up laps that have even challenged for the pole, and he just has to wait around and see where he's going to cycle out and how low he's going to be. So Luigi trying to turn that around. His teammate Sebastian ran pretty fast, a 48.041. We saw Tyler Fink go and be second fastest at 47.887. He's now only 2/10 off Hanley's fast lap, but Code Luigi is a veteran of this Gatorade Cup Series. His first season was season number 4. He picked up a couple of victories that season, then went to season 5 and picked up a good amount of victories and won the championship. And then season number 6, backed it up with another victory, making the chase and finishing second in the championship, missing out on the championship by 1 single point over the 7 of Griffin Lynn. And then season 7 was really the low point of his career in the Gatorade Cup Series. He missed the chase, never performed well, didn't even win a race. And then last season, he didn't win a race. However, he almost won the championship without winning a single race. Made the chase, was consistent all season, and once again, missed out the championship by 1 point, finishing in the 3rd position. Luigi wants to one-up that this season, win his 2nd Gatorade Cup Series career championship. He would be the only driver so far in Gatorade Cup Series history to win 2 GCS championships. Down the backstretch for the 42, it's not really showing the pace that we saw of the 21 or the 1 of Kukulana's teammate. We'll have to see, though, the 42 down the backstretch, 186. Gets up to 187, so not too bad for the 42, but I think this is going to be once again another one of those middle of the roads where we're going to see like a 48.1, a 48.2, and maybe somewhere around a 48.7, a 48.6 on this first lap. So Code Luigi down the front stretch to the start-finish line. Car number 42, first lap seeds in at 48.788. I just don't see it being that much faster. It's going to be around middle of the road, maybe even a 48.3. Yeah, Code Luigi turned number 1. These single car qualifying runs just been the bane of him. He has just not been able to do well in them. They've just been miserable for him. And he's had to fight back in the duel. And even in the clash, we saw in the clash, just last night, he wasn't that fast. He had one of the slower cars that night. He finished 11th. But I mean, we rarely talked about him at the front. So Code Luigi wants to change its Daytona luck here in the Gatorade Cup Series. And we'll see if he can do it. 8 drivers to take time after him as he comes off turn number 4. Code Luigi. His second lap, where will it place him? What will the time be? It won't be a front row contending lap. It will be, though, a 48.366. So he picks up about 4/10 there, a 48.366 for Code Luigi. And that's going to be a middle of the road for that number 42. And that is a tough break for Code Luigi as his teammate Sebastian Kukulana went pretty fast with a 48.041. But next up, we have the number 14 of Mitchell Collins. Car number 14, Mitchell Collins, coming up onto the racetrack on his warm-up lap, get up to speed lap. The last 4 we saw go out was Tyler Fink. He set down the 2nd fastest lap so far in qualifying, and for Mitchell Collins, it's looking like a pretty good warm-up lap for that number 14. His teammate Matt Gunn didn't go that fast, but Jonathan Rains does hold one of the fast laps of the 48.011. So we'll see what Mitchell Collins can do here on his first lap. Gatorade Cup Series rookie here with this number 14 team. We'll see how he can get it done this season, Season 9. Lap 1 started right there with a 180 mile an hour at the start-finish line. Up to 181, K up to 182. He does entering turn number 1. It was for a split second there, 182. So for Mitchell Collins, I mean, this looked like a lap that could challenge to try and get up there inside the top 5. And to be inside the top 5, you need to get under the 48-second bracket. And down the backstretch, we'll see what Collins can do here in the straight line speed, 187, 188. No glimpse of 189, but 188 consistently there down that backstretch. Looking pretty good for the 14 as he comes off turn number 4. I don't see this challenging for the front row, but I do see it challenging inside the top 5. It should be a good dual starting spot for Mitchell Collins as long as everything goes right here in this white flag lap. It's a 48.4 flat. So, I mean, he picks up about 4/10, a little bit more than that. He should be down in the 47.9s. It'll just be interesting to see where that's going to place him. So Mitchell Collins through 1 and 2, 182 as he comes off 2 and down the backstretch up to 183 already, 184, 185. And 186 is going to be 187 by the time he hits the middle part of the backstretch. 188, kick up to 189. He does right there. 189 for Mitchell Collins to turn number 3. Rookie in the Gatorade Cup Series. Trying to get up there and show that Ford is fast. I think he's should be top 5. Question is, where inside the top 5? For Mitchell Collins, to get on the front would be a 47.887. For him, it's a 47.966. Mitchell Collins, a 47.966. Not too shabby for the number 14 driver. That should seat him inside the top 5. If it's not top 5, which I actually don't think it is probably about 6th or 7th. So Mitchell Collins, pretty good lap for him, down below the 48-second bracket. And next up on the racetrack, we have the 11 of Jake Galloway. Car number 11, Jake Galloway, leaving pit road. This is the only team he has known in his Gatorade Cup Series career, dating back to season number 6 when he first joined, and the number 11 season 7 in the number 11, last season number 11, this season in the number 11. His 4th season in the Gatorade Cup Series, and only last season did he pick up his first career victory at Pensacola. After so many 2.5 seasons of struggle for Jake Galloway, he finally found victory lane at Pensacola, Florida. Another super speedway type track. Can he do the same here at Daytona? He won his 2nd race down in Homestead. So maybe Florida's just a lucky place for Jake Galloway. Can he win now at Daytona and get 3 Florida racetracks out of the way that he's won at? And for Jake Galloway, he has to beat his Toyota teammate TJ Hanley to sit on the pole, who currently sits at 47.685, 2/10 faster than Tyler Fink, who sits 2nd. Jake Galloway down the front stretch, start-finish line for him to start lap number 1. And for these final 7 cars that are going out, 3 JGR Toyotas, you have 3 Chevrolets, and 1 Stewart-Haas Racing Ford. So Jake Galloway through 1 and 2, can't keep it above 180 miles an hour, and that's going to hurt him in the long hauls. He comes down the backstretch up to 181 at the exit of turn 2. And next out, we have Trey Rainey, we have Wyatt Walker, Marshall Burrow, Joe Jefferson, Derek Bouchard, and Mathis Wells. The last 2 to go out will be more teammates to Jake Galloway. Danny Lloyd is the only other JGR car that has gone out so far, and Lloyd currently sits at 48.472, one of the slower guys that have gone out at this point in qualifying. And for Jake Galloway down the front stretch, he wants to go faster than his teammate Danny Lloyd. Front stretch, start-finish line, Jake Galloway, a 48.628. That's not a bad first lap. This should seat him in the 48.2s. As long as the second lap goes fine, as long as nothing goes wrong, Jake Galloway should be sitting at a 48.2 something. And through 1 and 2 for the number 11. 181 now, 182 as he comes off the corner and down the backstretch. This FedEx Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. If he could slot in the 48.2 somewhere, that should be around middle of the road, probably the bottom of the first half, somewhere around like 17th to 21st. But as Jake Galloway comes off turn number 4 to complete his qualifying lap in Season 9 Daytona 500 qualifying. Jake Galloway, start-finish line for the number 11, which will put him at a 48.201. It's a 48.201, barely above a 48.2, and that is a decent lap for Jake Galloway. That should seat him in the top half of the field, depending on what these final 6 drivers have to say. As next up, we have another Rainey brother, Trey Rainey in the 51. Trey Rainey coming out into the racetrack, number 51 Chevrolet. For Trey, it has been a very successful Gatorade Cup Series career. I mean, basically every season he's raced, he has been competitive. He's won races. He's made the chase a good amount of times. He's just never gotten that Gatorade Cup Series championship that he still desires. He wasn't racing last season in the Gatorade Cup Series. Could this season be the season he makes the chase and wins it all? He's been very consistent over his Gatorade Cup Series career, looking to make the chase this season and win it all here in season number 9 of the Gatorade Cup Series. Obviously, to start that, though, need to have a good qualifying effort here in this Daytona 500. He obviously wants to be his brother Luke Rain, because if he doesn't beat Luke, he'll obviously be seated last. He wants to be that 48.594 that Luke Rain set up here just a little bit ago in qualifying. 165 at that white line for Trey Rainey. He wants to beat Tyler Fink's 47.887. That's why I have Fink on the front row. Hanley's 47.685, which is 0.2 faster, has him on the pole. To the tri-oval for Trey Rainey. 180 at the start-finish line to start lap number 1. It's looking like it's going to be a decent lap. 181 off to turn number 1. We didn't see the 182, though, like we saw out of Tyler Fink, like we saw out of Mitchell Collins. So, I mean, I think you have to definitely get up to 182 there into turn number 1 on your first lap to have a shot, but let's see what Trey can do down the backstretch. It's looking like it could be a good lap, though. It could be somewhere around like we saw with Eli Bright, like we saw with, those low 48.0s, Sebastian Kukulon. Let's have to see 188 off to turn number 3 on his first lap. Looking like a pretty good lap for Trey Rainey as he comes off turn number 4. He'll see the white flag for qualifying. Last lap for Trey Rainey, 48.491. You pick up about 0.4, just a little bit over. That's what the trend has been. 185 to turn 1. Yeah, I'm going to have to guess this is going to be around a 48.0, somewhere in the middle of the O's. Maybe something around like Eli Bright, who ran a 48.056. So let's have to see what he can do down this backstretch. Could also be around Colton Yo, who ran a 48.090. Trey Rainey 188 the Daytona sign down the backstretch off to turn number 3. Gets up to 189. So for the 51, looking pretty good as he goes through 3 and 4. Trey Rainey going to put together a good lap. We'll just have to see where it all cycles around at the end of this qualifying session. 5 cars to go out after him. Trey Rainey's lap time in the Daytona 500 Season 9 qualifying is a 48.056. As we mentioned, it's going to be right around Eli Bright's lap. Well, he tied Eli Bright's lap, but since Eli went out first, sat down first, Eli gets the nod over Trey Rainey, and the tiebreaker is broken by that. So Eli Bright over Trey Rainey as they tied in lap time completely. That is amazing that we saw a tie here in qualifying. But next on the racetrack, we have another Ford, the final Ford to come out, the final Stewart-Haas Racing Ford to come out, the number 10 of Wyatt Walker. Wyatt Walker wasting no time to get out onto the racetrack for his number 10 Stewart-Haas Racing Ford. I mean, for Wyatt Walker, back in season, I believe, season number 5 was his rookie season, driving the number 36. He won at Pocono. I believe that's the only Gatorade Cup Series season he has been in. Now he's back in the number 10 for Stewart-Haas Racing, trying to be successful. This is a very successful team, as we mentioned, in the Gatorade Cup Series, looking to do what his teammate Mitchell Collins did and won up it. Collins with a 47.966 has put him inside the top 10 so far in qualifying. Jonathan Raines, a 48.011 is pretty fast as well. And then you have Matt Gunn, who has a 48.430. Right now the outlier for Stewart-Haas Racing, but will the 10 be like the 41 or be more like his teammates, the 14 and the 4? This white line, we'll find out. 165, so it's not too bad for Wyatt Walker. This could be once again like one of those that we saw Jake Galloway, 48.201, a 48.3, a 48.1, something around there. Could be around middle of the road for Wyatt Walker. We'll have to see, though, coming to the green flag to start his qualifying run for the Season 9 Daytona 500. Green flag, Wyatt Walker, 179 across the start-finish line. Gets up to 180, then the tri-oval. Do I see 180, 180.1? I do see 181 for a split second there. So Wyatt Walker, 180, now down to 179 through 1 and 2. And it looks like back up to 180 at the end of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. 4 cars to go out after this number 10 is 2 Chevrolets and 2 Toyotas. He is the last Ford to take time in this session, which has been a dismal session for Ford up until late, where we saw the 21 and the 14 and even the 17 go pretty fast. Other than that, though, has been pretty mediocre for Ford up until this point. They do have a car in the front row, though. Tyler Fink with a 47.887. Wyatt Walker's first lap will seat him at a 48.661. Go about 0.4 faster. It's going to be somewhere in the 48.2s if I had to guess. It's going to be around middle of the road, like we said. Jake Galloway probably somewhere around the first half, the bottom of the first half. Wyatt Walker down the back stretch. 184, 185. 186, 187, still picking up that pace, up to 188 off to turn number 3. So Wyatt Walker's second lap going to be better, definitely. He comes off turn number 4. And number 10, Stewart-Haas Racing, going to be more like his 4 and 14 teammates on the 41. Matt Gahn going to be the outlier for Stewart-Haas Racing because the number 10 of Wyatt Walker sets down a lap, which is a 48.223. So Wyatt Walker, 48.223, should be right middle of the road for him. Next down the track, though, we will have the number 37 of Marshall Burrow. Marshall Burrow has left pit road to start his qualifying effort in the Season 9 Daytona 500. And for Marshall Burrow, his teammate Sebastian Oskan went out earlier on this session, one of the first car in the first half of the session, and Sebastian Oskan set down a lap of 47.939, which held the front row for most of the session until it was just knocked off by Tyler Fink with a 47.887. Has put Sebastian Oskan back to third. Marshall Burrow wants to be more like Oskan and try and sit up there inside the top 5, maybe even sit on the front row, or can he try and grab that pole from TJ Hanley, who's had it all session long pretty much. We have definitely seen this track pick up pace. 166, basically, at that white line. Yeah, now we're talking about, the last time someone went slower than a 48.4 was Matt Godden, which was about 7 cars back. So, this track has definitely gotten faster for these drivers. Marshall Burrow, tri-oval start-finish line, 180 at the start-finish line for the 37 to start lap number 1. He is the 4th to last car to go out. 3 drivers after him. It'll be the 31 of Joe Jefferson, the 20 of Derek Bouchard, and the 18 of Mathis Wells to go out next. Burrow through 1. He did just kind of he was flirting with 179, but kept it above 180 pretty well. And now down the backstretch, picking up that pace. 187 off to turn number 3, 188 at the last second. I don't think this is going to challenge for the front row, but should be a low 48-second lap, which should be pretty good for this 37. He'll be right around where his teammate Sebastian Oskan ran. Once again, TJ Hanley 47.685, Tyler Fink 47.887. Burrow's first lap is a 48.580. So once again, we've been talking about this trend of 0.4 faster a lap. Should be somewhere in the mid 48.1s, the 48.teens. Burrow down the back stretch for the final time in his Daytona 500 qualifying run. He knows his teammate Sebastian Oskan went under the 48-second bracket right now. Burrow just aiming for a low 48-second bracket. 188 to turn number 3. And for Marshall Burrow, it's not going to be a blistering lap. It's going to be a nice consistent lap. It's going to be a nice solid lap. It's going to be a lap that's going to put him in the top half of the field for sure. Start-finish line for Marshall Burrow, 37 car. His lap time will be a 48.171. So 37 to 48.171, as we mentioned, in the 48.1s. That should be the top half of the field for sure. 3 drivers left to go out. Next one, another Chevrolet, the 31 of Joe Jefferson. Joe Jefferson off of pit road to start his qualifying lap in the number 31 RCR Chevrolet. For Joe Jefferson, he has spent his whole career, dating back to season number 5, out Stewart-Haas Racing. He has made the switch now to Richard Childress Racing. This number 31 has had success. Michael Gregory drove it to a championship back in season number 4. We saw it in the chase a few seasons ago with Steven Taylor. Now Joe Jefferson taking the reins at 31. His teammate William Bowen went out and put down a 48.158, which is in the top half of the field. We'll see what Joe Jefferson can do in the 31. We mentioned like Levi Shones. Shones obviously has a lot of wins in this Gatorade Cup Series. You mentioned that how many, he has. He's one away from Dan Bandon. Joe Jefferson has closed down that margin. He won last season in the Gatorade Cup Series at Hillside. He has closed in on this margin. He can actually try and take over Shones and take over Dan Bandon this season if Shones does not win and Joe Jefferson wins a few races. A past Daytona 500 champion back in season number 5. He has won 3 of the 4 Crown Jewel events. The only one he has not won is at Darlington, the Southern 500. He's won the Daytona 500. He's won the Brickyard 400. He's won the Coca-Cola 600, now known as the Pepsi 600. He's looking now for this season a Southern 500 trophy to add to his resume. He'd be the only driver in GCS history to win all 4 Crown Jewel races. And this lap is looking a lot like it was with Marshall Burrow. Low 48-second bracket. It's not going to be down battling for that front row, I don't think. But it should be in the top half of the field, as we mentioned. Probably a little bit slower than his teammate William Bullen, but it shouldn't be too much slower. To lap number 1 for Joe Jefferson. 48.660. So not too bad, but should be in the 48.2-second brackets once we get going here on the second lap. He is the final Chevy to take time in this session. The last 2 will be 2 JGR Toyotas, Derek Bouchard and Mathis Wells to round it out. And speaking of, how far we've gone this session, he's car number 40 to go out. How about Anton Charbois, who was the first go out? I said I would hate to go out first because I don't know what the standard is to put down. He put down a pretty good lap of 48.070. It's not going to be, it might not even be top 10. It is definitely, though, towards the top 10 if he's not inside the top 10. We talk about Joe Jefferson more as he comes off turn number 4. Qualifying session complete for him. As he comes to the start-finish line, Joe Jefferson sets down a 48.235. So Joe Jefferson at 48.235 for him. Should keep him around middle of the road, just like we said with Jake Galloway and Wyatt Walker. And then there were 2. Derek Bouchard and Mathis Wells. The next 2 to come out. Joe Gibbs Racing. Their final 2 cars come out next. Derek Bouchard on pit road to leave and do his warm-up lap for Gatorade Cup Series Season 9 Daytona 500. This is another veteran of the Gatorade Cup Series. He and Larry Bouchard Jr. have been around for a long time. Derek Bouchard back. He announced that he maybe wouldn't come back for this season depending on what type of car it was. Go back to the Gen 6 cars. He said, okay, I will have one last shot at it. He's back here in the JGR number 20, and he's looking for success in the Gatorade Cup Series Season 9. He's trying to make the chase. He's trying to win some more races. He's been around so long. He's looking to try and do well, and starting off with a good pole lap, a good qualifying lap at Daytona is always something you want to do here in this Daytona 500. So for TJ Hanley, he knows if the 20 does not go faster than him, Hanley will stay on the front row no matter what. If Bouchard can go faster than Hanley, it's on from there. We'll see if Mathis Wells can try and knock Hanley off the front row. But the big question is if Bouchard can knock Hanley up, because Hanley's been untouchable. 0.2 faster than the next closest guy, Tyler Fink. And for Tyler Fink, he's hoping that Bouchard does not come near his lap time. Fink wants to know that, he wants to start this front row as well. Derek Bouchard, number 20. Off to turn number 1 at 180 miles an hour. Yeah, that does not look like a front row competitive lap. We saw 182 for Tyler Fink on his first lap entering turn number 1, and Bouchard falling below 180. I just do not see this being a competitive lap for the front row. Down the backstretch, Derek Bouchard. The third Joe Gibbs Racing car go out, the fastest of them so far. Jake Galloway to 48.201. Danny Lloyd went a 48.472. 187 off to turn number 3 for Derek Bouchard. And here he comes onto the front stretch to complete lap number 1 and take the white flag for qualifying to start lap 2. So for Bouchard, white flag in the air. Last lap, it's a 48.776. That's not going to be too great for Bouchard. I know he would have won a lot better. It's probably going to be faster than Danny Lloyd, but I just don't see it being up there with Jake Galloway at all. Remember, Luke Rain has the slowest lap so far this session with a 48.594. Definitely want someone to not beat that so that he doesn't have to start last. But right now, currently, for Luke Rainey, you have to think one positive for him. He can only go forward in his duel. He cannot lose any positions from where he is. He's going to be he's probably going to be starting 42nd or 41st. He's going to be starting in the last row, the last spot of either duel 1 or duel 2. So for Luke Rainey, you got to know that, hey, you can only go forward from here. If you get your car set up right for the duel, you go up, win that thing, start 3rd or 4th, and it could be good. So for Derek Bouchard, to come to the start-finish line, checkered flag in the air for his qualifying session. He can only muster a 48.356. one of the slower ones we've seen as of late in this session. It's a 48.356. And now Hanley knows he is on the front row for the Daytona 500. The question is, will he be on pole or will he be outside pole? The question lies to Matthes Wells. We'll see how he can do in his qualifying lap. Can he knock Hanley back to second? Can he knock Tyler Fink out of the front row? We're about to find out. Matthes Wells, the last to qualify for the Season 9 Daytona 500. It all comes down to this one driver. That one driver is the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 driver of Matthes Wells. A Gatorade Cup Series sophomore, his rookie season last season, didn't have much success, looking for his first Gatorade Cup Series career win here in season number 9. He's looking to try and knock TJ Hanley off the pole or knock Tyler Fink off the front row. Which will it be? Will he be on pole? Will he be second? Or will he be neither? We're going to find out. Matthes Wells, get up to speed for his lap, the 42nd driver to take time. It started with Anthony Charles at the 48.070. How will it end with Matthes Wells? It started with the Toyota. We're going to end with the Toyota here today. To beat TJ Hanley, it would have to be a 47.685. To get on the front row, it would have to be a 47.887. And of course, Hanley hoping neither of that happens. Fink is hoping that I just stay on the front row. For Wells, 165. It's one of the slower ones we've seen as of late across that white line. I just do not see it happening. Hanley was like 167 across that line. He was so fast. He's 2/10 faster than Tyler Fink. Wells onto the front stretch. 178 to the tri-oval. And the green flag. Final lap of qualifying, or the final driver in qualifying, Matthes Wells. I don't see it. I do not see this knocking Hanley or Fink off this front row. Matthes Wells, 179 through 1 and 2. Now off turn 2, it's going to jump up to 180 down the backstretch. I think this is Hanley's Daytona 500 pole, and this is going to be Fink starting on the front row as well. They could probably start wheeling both those cars to Victory Lane, Gary Victory Lane, which is where the pictures are taken if you're on the front row. Car number 18 comes off turn number 4. His 3 teammates so far. Lloyd at a 48.472. Jake Galloway to 48.201. And of course, Derek Pritchard at 48.356. For Wells' first lap, it's not fast at all. 48.846. I mean, that is a whole second slower than what Tyler Fink ran to get on the front row. So for TJ Hanley, it's going to be a Daytona 500 pole in season number 9. For Tyler Fink, it's going to be a front row start in the Daytona 500 for season number 9. As long as those two don't crash in their duels, they will start on the front row here in the Daytona 500 for season number 9. The question is, where will Wells slot in terms of his time? He comes off turn number 4. Celebration will start for Team 23 and Team 21. As Wells takes the checkered flag, the scoring tower will show where the 18 slots. It is nowhere near the top of 48.417, which means TJ Hanley is on the front row and on the pole for the Season 9 Daytona 500, and Tyler Fink will start to his outside in second. How about that? 3 seasons we have done this Gatorade Cup Series Daytona 500 pole qualifying. It's been a ton of veterans that have sat on the pole. Jeff Wright did it in Season 7, Levi Jones last season, and TJ Hanley this season. Those are 3 of the most successful Gatorade Cup Series drivers you will ever see. And they are all sitting on the front, or on the pole, these past 3 Daytona 500s. I'd like to thank everyone for joining and watching Daytona 500 single car qualifying. We have the duels coming up. We have the Truck Series race, the Target Series race, and the Gatorade Cup Series Daytona 500. Congratulations to TJ Hanley for sitting on the pole and Tyler Fink for sitting on the front row. I'll see you guys for the rest of Speed Weeks, the Gatorade Cup Series, the Target Series, and the Penske Truck Series.